Thank you so much, Mr. Clerk. Let me thank everyone for returning. At this time, I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting agenda for November 8th to 2020. Would you give me a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. This is the roll call for the regular council meeting. The Honorable William Bill Edwards, Mayor.
Here.
The Honorable Catherine F. Ryle, District 1.
Present.
The Honorable Carmelita Gums, District 2. The Honorable Helen Z. Willis, District 3. The Honorable Naima Gilliard, District 4.
Here.
The Honorable Corey A. Reeves, District 5.
Accounted for.
The Honorable Councilmember Khalid, District 6. You're muted, sir.
Present.
Thank you. The Honorable Mark Baker, District 7.
Present.
Mr. Mayor and Council, that you have a quorum.
Council member Helen Zenobia Willis is accounted for. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Received.
At this time, I will call the chaplain for an invocation.
Thank you, Mayor. To the Honorable Mayor and City Council, to our City Manager, Manager Jones, Department, and to our general public, happy holidays from the Office of the Chaplain. God has brought us to the close of another year so we can enter together into a new year. It was Barack Obama who said, "We chose hope over fear." We see the future not as something out of our control, but as something that we can shape for the better through concerted and collective efforts. Let us pray. Dear God, not one member of this wise council, nor any citizen of this great city of South Fulton could have predicted that we would experience a national crisis, a pandemic in our lifetime. We began of this year started out with great excitement and anticipation. Then in March, our lives, our daily routines, our entire way of life was put on hold and forced to change. Medical changes, physical changes, and emotional changes. Our schools closed, our churches closed, our government buildings closed. We have buried family members, neighbors, and friends who would still be here, but the virus. However, oh God, in the morning of this pandemic, our council began to look to you. And in doing so, you gave them hope over fear. In this fog of despair, they were still able to see the future of our great city as something they must continue to shape for its betterment. During a time, oh God, where this pandemic gave us boundaries and limitations, they sought collective efforts to keep us together. So for that, oh God, we thank you. Oh God, as we turn our attention to our citizens, keep them healthy, keep them well, and keep them at peace. As we turn our attention to our department heads and employees, keep them healthy, keep them well, and keep them at peace. And as we turn to our attention to our mayor and council, keep them healthy, keep them well, and keep them at peace. For when we were hungry, they fed us. When we were thirsty, they gave us something to drink. When we were naked and clothed, they clothed us. And when we were sick, they came to see about us. And you said, inasmuch as you have done it for your citizens, you have done it unto me. May there be peace on earth and goodwill to all those in the city of South Fulton and to all those passing through the city of South Fulton. Now, God, as we turn our attention to 2021, the COVID is still with us and all that it brings, but we are ready. So now, dear God, as our council continues in today's meeting, it is our prayer that everything that will be said and everything that will be done will be for the good of those in whom we proudly serve. This we pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chaplain.
Mayor?
Yes.
May I please have a 1 minute point of privilege? I just want to thank people for the Thanksgiving's turnout that we had.
I'll allow that. I think that's good. Go ahead.
I just want to thank all of the sponsors and all of my colleagues who did help out with allowing us to provide a very successful Thanksgiving's food giveaway. We were able to we set out to serve 1,300 residents, but we ended up serving over 1,400 residents. I do apologize for the long lines, but that is just a testament to how great the need was. We had several sponsors, and we served over 200 people in District 5, over 200 people in District 3, over 200 people in District 6. We served over 190 people in District 4. We served over 160 people in District 1 and over 170 people in District 2 and over 150 people in District 7. And so we were able to serve district-wide several residents with turkeys, fresh produce, and vegetable offerings. Okay. Thank you to our multiple partners, again, who contributed to this effort. Thank you and have a great holiday.
Okay, and Mr. Clerk, that is a point of personal privilege, I think.
Yes, sir.
The next item, please.
Next item is item 5, adoption of council agenda.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
I would like to add a substitute motion because there are 2 items I need to add, Mayor. And they're
on the motion by Ms. Rao. Is there a second to that? Someone say something.
Did we vote on the substitute motion first? And I didn't state what my motion was.
Well, we have. Do I have a second on the first motion? All right, hearing no second, you can make a motion, Mr. Willis.
I would like to add to the agenda the contributions from Georgia Power for the amount of $2,500 to the turkey giveaway that was written to the city of South Fulton. And I would also like to add the contribution that was given to the city of South Fulton for the turkey giveaway for $1,000 for the council to accept their donation.
And I don't think I'm going to allow that because this is important that it's emergent that we do this because the money has been appropriately spent. So we need to make sure that we do things orderly.
Second.
All right. We should probably move to second in discussion. Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote by motion by Councilmember Willis, second by Councilmember Rao.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, I was muted, but I was in the queue. I came on in the queue because I want to take something off the agenda. So I want to pull the opportunity zone off the agenda and bring it back next month.
I would say that at that time, and Madam Parliamentarian, you can correct me. At that time, when that comes up, can she at that time ask that it be removed?
Yes, that's correct. Right. So I think, Councilwoman, what the mayor's saying is that you don't have to amend the agenda when the item comes up. You can just make a motion to table this.
Thank you so much, Ms. Walker. Mr. Adams, did we take a vote?
It's the roll call vote to accept the adoption of to adopt the council agenda with the 2 amendments by Councilmember Willis. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gumbs.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid.
No.
Councilmember Baker.
I would like to abstain and ask for a point of order because, Mr. Mayor, you said you weren't going to allow those additional 2 items, and I'm kind of confused. It was a second after that, and if I vote to accept it, are we overriding, you making your statement? I'm kind of confused.
Mr. Baker, you said I said I was not going to accept those 2 items.
Yes, that's what, because you said procedurally they should have been accepted prior to receiving them, actually. So I mean, I just want to be
Well, let me make it clear. The reason why I think this is mentioned we should do it is because those monies, those contributions have been accepted by us, and those contributions have already been spent. So we need to make sure that procedurally we're okay by accepting them today.
Oh, okay. I was just I just didn't understand it because it was seconded, and I didn't know if you were implying that we take it off. So with that being understood, I changed my abstention to a aye vote.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. That motion is approved 6-1.
Next item.
Next item, item 6, approval of city council meeting minutes.
I would entertain a motion. I wish this motion could be all inclusive of all 5 items if we can.
Mayor, I do move that we approve city council minutes for all of the minutes listed on the agenda. Clerk, is it necessary for me to detail or name all of the items listed on the agenda?
I would say at least give the dates.
Okay. Let me go with 1 second. I'll pull that up. I just had it up and it went away. Let me go to the Novus agenda and do it.
I can help you out. November 10th, work session.
Thank you so much.
Yes. November 10th, regular meeting. November 10th, special called meeting. November 24th, special called meeting. And December 2nd, special called meeting.
Okay.
I move that we approve all those minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and second. Discussion. Hearing none. Roll call vote, please, Mr. Clerk.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gumbs.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
That motion was approved unanimously.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item, public hearings. The first public hearing is request council approval of an alcohol license for Blaze Steak and Seafood Restaurant located at 3752 Cascade Road, Suite 100. Police Department.
Yes, Mayor and Council, good afternoon. The Blaze Restaurant has met all the qualifications to receive their liquor license. We presented before the body for consideration and public hearing at this time.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody for or against?
Mr. Mayor, we did not receive any comments for or against this item.
Okay.
I move.
I see Mr. and Mrs. Tucker on the screen here. I guess they for. All right, go ahead, Rao.
I move that we accept and approve the alcohol license for Blaze Steak and Seafood located at 3752 Cascade Road.
Second with discussion.
Been probably moved to second. Discussion, please.
I would like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Tucker for bringing this addition to the city of South Fulton. I have seen it go through its construction, and your restaurant manager, AD, did reach out to me when there were some issues with the liquor license. You had a death in your business and it caused a delay. And it was my pleasure to do what I had to do to make this come to fruition. One of the main things that residents complain about is that they want diversity and more places to eat in the city of South Fulton. This is a welcome addition to the city of South Fulton. I have not had an opportunity to go by, but I've heard a lot of the great reviews, and I'm looking forward to the day that I can go by and witness and taste the food that I heard is amazing. Welcome to the city of South Fulton.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote for approval. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gumbs.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid. You're muted, sir.
Sorry. Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
That item was approved unanimously.
All right, thank you so much, and thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Tucker.
Thank you so much. We want to say we really appreciate you all and thank you for your time. And we are so happy to be a part of the city of South Fulton.
Okay, thank you so much.
All
Next
right.
item, please.
Next item is a zoning item. Request council to reconsider a rezoning from AG1 to C2 for property located at 3560 Jonesboro Road for the purpose of developing a car dealership and shopping center. Planning staff.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. This is Nathan. I want to make sure everybody can hear me this morning.
We hear you.
Perfect. We have 4 cases for your consideration this morning. The first one, we can go ahead and jump into the presentation here, is Z19005, a rezoning at 3560 Jonesboro. Next slide, please. This case is being reheard. It was heard at the September 22nd council meeting. It was denied at that time. The request was from AG1 to C2 for a mixed commercial development featuring a car dealer, which was originally proposed to be a Volvo dealer and then switched to a Carvana, and a mixed commercial development of small out parcels next to it. At this time, the proposal was not in line with the future land use map. This case was originally heard at the end of 2019. There was a staff recommendation for approval with some conditions, and there was no change recommended when this case was heard for the last time earlier this year. The Planning Commission also voted for approval. We can go to the next slide and just show you where it is located at. You can see at the outlined property that is blue in the middle of the screen on the left shows the parcel on the zoning map, and the pin drop on the aerial map on the right shows it is an undeveloped parcel. We can go to the next slide and just look at the development proposal that was submitted. You'll see in the upper left, it is a car dealership with a parking lot around it, and the lower right and middle are mixed out parcels. I will add that I was informed this morning there was a dialogue between the council member and the participant. There's a desire to restrict and remove the car dealership from this development plan and from any allowed uses on this particular site, and to have be green space for the time being. I don't have any further comment on that particular point because I was just notified this morning, but the participant is on the call to speak at the public hearing.
Okay, at this time, I'll open the public hearing. Those who want to speak for or against, is anyone against?
Sir, yes, sir. We have 2 comments from the public.
Go ahead.
The first comment is from Mr. Alvin Reynolds, who lives on Kings Place in District 7. He states, in reference to zoning case Z1905, the development at Jonesboro Road, which was denied by council in September, has not changed. It still does not comply with the land use plan. This development of a car lot did not meet the criteria outlined by staff conditions pertaining to a car lot, as this will be the driving force for this development. It will not leave enough space to develop the shopping center and retail markets. The community as a whole has not supported this project, and to bring it back now for reconsideration in this manner does not view well, and would hope that the community is not left out of this process. And the next comment is from Mr. Michael Venable, who lives on Montilly Circle in District 6. As previously stated in the hearings of this case, the establishment of an automobile dealership at this location would negatively affect the future development of the area. Not only does the proposal not comply with the site land use plan, historically, no desirable commercial or residential development occurs in sites with the proposed heavy commercial C2 zoning. Also, the proposed use restrictions are severely weak. There exists no new arguments or evidence to show any overwhelming value to negate the previous denial of this zoning request. It is time for positive changes in the Old National area, and this rezoning request would damage social economic growth. That completes the mailed in public comment.
Okay, I'll hear from the owner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and City Council for allowing us to speak. There was, I guess, some type of miscommunication last time when we were supposed to kind of come before the board, and so I appreciate the opportunity to represent the owner during this meeting. We've had a total of 5 community meetings in reference to this particular zoning item. And as you've heard, one of the last statements that the planning, I guess, commission has made is that we are willing to, and we have asked to restrict the automobile dealership from this site, which was the main concern from the majority, from those who had a concern of the community. The only thing that they said that they did not like about this was the automobile dealership. And so we just going along with the community, with the ones that have spoken and have been a little bit more vocal, we have asked that you would add that to the restricted use of this zoning. So pretty much we're getting rid of the automobile dealerships, and we're asking to move forward with the retail and restaurants, the fine dining restaurants that go along with this. I'd also like to, for the public's, just to state for the public that the Planning Commission recommended that we had other uses that were restricted. And I just want to read to your hearing what those are. Because I think one of the things that we continually heard in our meetings, that people didn't understand that there were a vast amount of things that were excluded already, so that we didn't have to bring up and discuss. So what's already excluded from the Planning Commission is that they already told us that we can't have personal care services, they cannot be gas stations, they cannot be a garage automotive repair, they cannot be an automobile specialty shop, there could be no parking lots, no garages, no decks, no pawn shops, no laundromats, no car washes, no motels, no check cashing, no group residences, and no personal care homes. So those are all the things that have already been restricted from this zoning item. And in addition to that, we have also asked to restrict any new or used automobile dealerships. So what we are trying to bring into the community is the fine dining restaurants and the retail shops. And I do believe that the reason why we are discussing this is because there is a healthy appetite for it, for fine dining in this area, which we do not have. We do not have a place to sit down and discuss this, sit down and eat in this area. To have something like a Capitol Grill, a Thumbs Up, a Fox Brothers, a steakhouse in this area, there is a healthy appetite for it. And so I hopefully ask that you guys would move favorably up on this. The community, once again, the only part of this zoning item that the community was not in favor of, and I would say some of the community was not in favor of, was the automobile dealerships. And we have already asked that you guys would go ahead and make that a restricted item as well.
Okay, at this time I'm gonna close the public hearing. Mr. Baker?
Yes, sir. Thank you for acknowledging me, Mr. Mayor. I've been speaking with this client as well as Director Reed in reference to this, and he's exactly right in regards to this property. And I'm sure we've heard from the 2 public comment items, the concern of any automobile dealership, even though the Carvana was somewhat attractive, given that they were going to build that tower and not hold cars there. I think that we have covered some bases, and we've brought in our planning director. And if you're available, Ms. Reed, I would like for you to actually give some further details. I know that he read off a lot of items that would be considered restrictions, but we would like to just have clarity on these items before moving forward, because I understand they're under certain designations, like car lots. There's a designation for car lots, but at the same time, there's a different designation for used car lots, as well as auto parts and auto brokers and things of that nature. And we just want to make sure that we have everything under the umbrella of that covered. And Director Reed, are you available to speak?
Sure, I am. Thank you for that. So in addition to the areas that Mr. Kelly mentioned, staff would like to add a little bit more on conditions based on the conversations that I was having with staff earlier today. We're looking to have all of the motor vehicle and part dealer uses added to the list of restricted uses. If you may, or if I may, I would like to list those. That would be new car dealers, used car dealers, auto brokers, RV dealers, boat dealers, motor vehicle, ATV, and other motor vehicle dealers, automotive parts and accessory dealers, as well as stores as well. In addition to that, and lastly, tire dealers. Restricting all of the listed uses that I just named as restricted uses for that site.
Okay. So with that being said, thank you, Director Reed. This should ultimately be a development including retail, restaurants, possibly office space, markets, clinics, urgent cares, things, everything. But I mean, it's like we're a new city and we have so many dynamics. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and when it's time to eat, she only knows what she doesn't want. So we can actually add all of these things that Director Reed just said to those restrictions, and I'd like to make a motion to approve with those restrictions just suggested.
Second.
I should probably move the second. Mr. Baker, if you don't mind, I'd like to make a couple of comments, okay?
Yes, sir.
One is, those, Ms. Reed, those are conditions to the zoning, and I think they should be put in that way. Am I correct?
That's correct, sir.
Huh?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Now, second question I have to ask. If this does not fit the land use plan, what did we have to do to make it fit? Would removing of the car lot do that for us?
So removing the car lot will give us an opportunity to move it forward the way that the council members as well as the residents are asking to see it, to where the one concern that was made relevant to staff is that there was concerns as it pertains to the car dealership. So staff removed or is recommending to remove all items pertaining to that use or like use. So I would believe that this recommendation to add these additional uses would appease or give to the liking of what we're hearing from the public at this time.
Okay, now that's not what I asked, but I assume it's in there somewhere. I'm just saying that if it's out of line with the land use plan, does this put it in line with the land use plan?
Mr. Mayor, this is Nathan. I can speak on that to you. The direct answer to your question is no, it will not, because on the future land use map, this area is all laid out as residential. However, given the road and traffic patterns in the area, that's an item that could definitely be discussed and addressed in our upcoming comprehensive plan and revisions we will make to the future land use map as part of that process. So the direct answer to your question is no, but this is an area of the city that we should take a little bit more detailed look at in our upcoming comprehensive plan. And
I would encourage that, because I don't want another zone to come back, the zone to come in and say, well, it doesn't fit the land use plan, but we're going to do it. All right, but that's what
I agree to that, Mayor. I agree to that. And I think that's something that I've recently seen with us. And I think the comprehensive plan is going to align to us to hinder that or stop that. So I agree to you 100%.
And my last question is this. This is a 4-lane highway?
No.
Right?
No.
Mr. Baker, what road is that? Is that Jonesboro Road?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Jonesboro Road. There's
Jonesboro Road is the 4-lane highway, isn't it?
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm just asking this for, and we may have to deal with this later on in the zoning for this place, but if I'm coming from, let's say, Old National Highway, I would make a right on the Jonesboro Road. I get down this facility. Am I going to be impaired to make a left-hand turn into that facility?
So I would not be comfortable answering that. That's more of a transportation question. I'm not sure if there's any transportation staff present for that.
And Mr. Baker, I'm not trying to stop it. I just want to make that's just a question for me. And that, sometime in the future, Mr. Baker, we need to probably look at getting with the state and trying to make something available to make it ease in turning left.
No, you're absolutely right, Mr. Mayor. And this is something that I think the meeting that we have set up next week, we could address as well as the additional item that we'll be hearing today. Okay. We've conversed about. Thanks.
That's all that I have. We have a motion on the floor. Let's have a vote, please.
Roll call vote. The vote is to approve a motion by Councilmember Baker, seconded by Councilmember Reeves, with the restrictions as outlined by staff. Councilmember Rao?
Yes.
Councilmember Gumbs?
Yes.
Councilmember Willis?
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard?
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves?
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Aye.
That motion was approved unanimously.
Okay.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Congratulations. And next item, please.
Next item is item number 8, Z20-003. Request council to consider a rezoning from AG1 to SH for property located at 3825 and 3895 Jonesboro Road for the purpose of developing a senior living facility. Planning staff?
All right, once again, hello, Mayor and Council. I'll be mindful of everyone's time and not rehash every last bit of this. This is the third time we have heard about this particular case. We can go right to the next slide. This is for a senior living facility. Again, the developer here is very experienced. Again, this one is not directly in agreement with the future land use map, but it's still residential. So it would be in the same theme as what the future land use map says, which is a bit of a difference from the previous case. We can go right to the next slide. This is right up the street, almost cat corner from the property we were just referencing. It's two parcels, 3825 and 3895. And I believe the next slide as well is also another zoning map and aerial for the same parcel. If you look at the aerial map on the right, you'll see there's sort of a triangle in the lower right corner, and that's the property that we just talked about. We can go to the next slide, please. This is an updated map that I received recently, and I wanted to make sure that it was put in this presentation for council review. 2 points I want to bring up. Number one is the red emergency access in the middle of the drawing there that would have a lockbox on it. The next point I want to bring up, we can see the in and out for this living complex lined up with Peters Road right across. There has been extensive discussion with GDOT on getting a light at this intersection. There is broad agreement that a light is needed and should be put there. There is not yet agreement on time frame and the funding of that light. But I do believe that the applicant will have a little bit more to expound on that particular point. But the previous hangups hadn't been centered around discussion of the necessity of a traffic light at that new intersection. There's just a computer rendering of the proposed apartment building. And I believe the applicants are on to elaborate a little bit more on this development.
Are you finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Those who are, any comments from anyone who's against it? The facility with the items?
Yes, we do have one comment. That comment is from Mr. Michael Venable, who lives on Montelli Circle in District 6. He states, this rezoning request does not comply with the city land use plan, period. The proposal is a disservice to the people and to development, setting a vulnerable population on 4-lane state highway, essentially secluded from other residential development near heavy commercial entities and service stations, is a request for problems. Think about all the communities you know that require the most assistance. They are all set off, secluded away from medical, grocery, parks, etc. Though there may be a need for lower income senior residential, the proposed location is just not it. The focus should be normalizing the Old National area from an economic standpoint, first from a higher end housing, less low end retail, and clubless dining, so the area can support those in need instead of becoming a burden. The description and proposal by the applicant representative for senior housing last month on the other side of the city was like night and day compared to this proposal. Old National will never prosper until a different attitude is taken for the area. I have yet to see a violation of the land use plan on the other side of this city. Improper by conscience, illegal by law, this rezoning should be denied. That's the only comment.
Okay, the developer.
Good morning. This is Michelle Battle with Battle Law representing the applicant. We have taken the time over the last month in order to pursue our conversations with GDOT with regards to this project, which was where we ended. We submitted to them, I'm sorry, an ICE report that they had requested in order to help further the review of the intersection at Jonesboro and Peters Road. We concluded that report. We filed it with GDOT and provided the city with copies as well. We did hear back from GDOT with regards to what had been presented. They sent us an email that indicated that they agree that a traffic signal is the most feasible solution to the issues, that they will be working on the completion of their documentation and study so that it can continue to move forward through the process for funding and implementation. They did indicate that it would take them now only 3 months as opposed to 6 months to get through that process so that they can continue to proceed. So with that, what we were told is that it is most likely that GDOT, when and if this goes through plan review, would recommend a right in, right out, and a left turn only in, because there is a dual turn lane on Jonesboro Road, but there would be no left turn out of the facility until the light is actually installed. We have also put, as you see on the revised site plan, the emergency entrance that was requested. It is my understanding that GDOT will approve that as well. With regards to the project itself, these are quality facilities that are being put up to allow for seniors to live independently. This is not an assisted living facility. It is for independent seniors who are ambulatory for 62 and older. On the site, please note that they will have the following amenities, including access to a van service to assist them with travel to and from the grocery store, pharmacy, and other surrounding retail and or senior facilities. There will be indoor sidewalk system, an internal sidewalk system for walking. There will be an outdoor pavilion with grills and a seating area. There will be a computer room and a community room with a community kitchen for gatherings on site. And they will also have a fully equipped exercise room. This matter, we are hoping will get a final decision this month, as the financing through DCA is in jeopardy if we don't move forward. So we would respectfully request approval of this application as presented by staff. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna close the public hearing. What district is this? Is this still Mr. Baker?
Yes, sir, it is.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you for, am I acknowledged, Ms. Mayor? Okay, I assume I have the floor.
Yes, you do.
Okay, thank you. And I have spoken with this developer regarding the concerns, especially of the comment regarding the traffic light, Peters, or the traffic remedy that GDOT would propose. However, I did have a conversation with our planning director in regards to this item specifically, and it's my understanding that if we approve this, there's no way that we could find out how GDOT would contend, given what Miss Attorney Battle has presented, even though they have seemingly responded favorable. Director Reed, are you available to contend real quick?
I'm present.
So,
So,
yeah, can you speak real quick, because I think we're getting close, and I think that there's a solution that we may have to bring this project forward where we can feel comfortable. The concerns are valid on 138. However, as you can see, we still need a vision across the way. The previous item was approved, and that would lend to a facility like this. And this is not Old National. I know District 7 has probably the last 3 blocks of Old National. This is closer to Buffington than Old National. But Director Reed, can you speak regarding GDOT and the possibilities of having more of a stronger or firmer answer in regards to traffic remedies, just as the mayor suggested regarding our last item?
yes, sir. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to sit down and have a conversation with GDOT. I think, if I'm not mistaken, your concerns are you have transportation concerns prior to the rezoning being allowed. And so I think that proposes an opportunity for my team, transportation, as well as GDOT, for us all to have a conversation, particularly about this site. I understand that the applicant has shared what has happened in their conversations, but I think if you are looking for staff to guide you directly on the GDOT side of what they're telling staff, I think that's an opportunity for us to meet with them. I have not had the opportunity to see an email. I know she mentioned there's an email present where GDOT has confirmed that a traffic light could be installed and such. But I have not had an opportunity to see that email at this time to confirm with the actual sender of that email that an actual traffic light will be installed. I will say at the time of the LDP, we will ask for a traffic study at that time. And at that time, it will render in grand detail the needs for additional transportation remedies. So I would prefer that if you're going to make a decision for zoning,
I'm sorry. I think that was the point. At the time that the LDP is actually offered, at that time, if we approve this today, we'll be leaving ourselves vulnerable if GDOT isn't complicit with what our requests or our, what our requirements softly stated. I guess, is there any possibility for you as a catalyst to set up a meeting with Attorney Battle, GDOT, yourself, to kind of get a better understanding as a SME to provide to us so we can render the appropriate decision? Even though I am favorable towards it, I just don't want to be vulnerable as a city if, when they come for a land disturbance permit and GDOT doesn't comply with the request, it's still coming. And we're leaving a vulnerable population to drive on 138 every day going home. And
can I add something, and also to Ms. Reeves? Could not Mr. Baker, if he's inclined to approve this particular zoning, he could do it with a condition that
I think that's the problem. I'm sorry, go ahead, Director Reed.
Be able to make a condition, that's my question. Should you, if it goes in the record that he approves it with the condition that DOT approves the light?
Okay. So here's the problem with that, Mayor. So that was a conversation that we did have earlier today to say that if a condition was added based on GDOT's, response, what has happened is you've now made it so that the applicant cannot move forward at the time of land disturbance permit should GDOT decide not to do that installation. So having a conversation prior, if a traffic light is a major concern, as I'm hearing today, that conversation should be had prior to the rezoning, if in fact that's what's holding up the rezoning, or that is the main concern.
I hear what you're saying. You can put a condition on anything. I mean, many people have had zonings where they had conditions, they had to meet those conditions first. I
understand. Well, the conditions, when in the past, all of our conditions are as the developer's capability of doing. But what you're doing now is putting a condition on the actual applicant for an outside party to do. So it kind of makes it so that the outside party doesn't meet that obligation. That means that the applicant's not capable of moving forward.
But I don't want any of my colleagues or anybody to lose the effects of making a condition as we go forward. So,
Understood.
all right.
No, I think I'm clear, Mr. Mayor. If you yield it back to me, it's that's exactly the issue which you're bringing up, and I appreciate it. But I think that they would be just halted at that position if, in fact, GDOT renders something negative back to them. But if we're able to have another month, well, I know it's the holiday, but if it could be done in January, if not February, for our department head to reach out and have this conversation, we probably won't have any hiccups with this developer being told no or being unable to move forward. We could deal with it on the front end as opposed to the back end.
Okay. All right, Mr. Baker, I appreciate it. Ms. Gilliard, you're in the queue.
I would like to know if there, and this is a question for Attorney Battle, and maybe for Ms. Reed as well. Is there any available land close to this development where commercial could come, such that the seniors would have some ability to shop somewhere near this development?
Councilman, I believe that would be more so a question for me. There is one small development, I think it's a Dollar General, that is nearby the site. That's probably the closest commercial district before you get to either Old National or Union City area.
And about how far away do you think it is?
Ooh, gosh, I would say maybe a quarter of a mile or less.
Less than that.
Yeah, or less. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Gilliard, it's on a 4-lane highway and it's across the street.
Oh,
Right on the commercial corridor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mayor, would I be able to respond to any of this?
Just a minute. Mr. Khalid, Ms. Gilliard, are you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Mr. Khalid, I saw you pop up on the queue a couple of times. Do you still want to make a comment? Mr. Khalid?
Can I ask questions?
Let me just see if Mr. Khalid still wants to make a comment. I don't hear anything from him.
I just wanted to, I believe that it's on the same side of the street as the Dollar General, and not on the opposite side of the street. Is that?
Okay, I stand to be corrected. I thought it was.
It is.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Khalid, for that clarification. Ms. Rao, go ahead.
I think I heard that they are at risk of losing their funding for this project. I want to be sure that's the case. And if that is the case and the councilman is generally in support, would it hurt if you put the conditions, because they're going to be stuck anyway?
Right.
I think that would be the better thing than to jeopardize their funding. Funding is not easy to come by, particularly in this market. And so that if we put the conditions, if we find out that GDOT is not, they still couldn't move, but at least they could come back to this body and move forward by lifting those specific conditions.
I think I agree with you, and that's why I was pushing the issue, Mr. Baker, of having a condition to move the thing forward so that she can get her funding. Yet we still have a little leeway in there.
Right.
So with clarity from Director Reed, how does, because I am for this project. Let me be clear. However, I just want the compliance and working in conjunction with GDOT, and I want clarity on it, and I don't want it to be one-sided. If Director Reed, again, what would be the situation if GDOT tells them no? Could they still be able to go forward, or would we just deny them a land disturbance permit?
So if you place a condition further, that means that we would not be able to grant them the land disturbance permit. However, that would mean they would need to reapply for a new modification and a new process to come back before council, as Councilwoman Morale and the mayor is attending. It's just that I prefer to have things handled all at once versus coming back multiple times to the body. But if the body prefers it, then staff can support it.
So is it possible to get clarity from Attorney Battle if this is, would she rather go through the process of starting this all over after a response from GDOT, if the possibility is negative, or would she be okay? Would her funding be okay for another month to have a Zoom call with GDOT, Director Reed, and herself?
Are you calling Miss Battle back? Is that what you're doing?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Battle, you can speak then.
Council members, a couple of points of clarity. We started out this process with GDOT by engaging Tom Udell with the city on getting the information needed and also providing him with a copy of the ICE report. We also emailed to you, Councilmember Baker, and to Nathan yesterday the email that we received from Justin Hatch with transportation with GDOT, indicating what their response was to the light, and that they were already in the process because the city had already been in touch with them with regards to needing something at the intersection of Jonesboro and Peters. So this was already something that was under review. What we did was help facilitate moving the process forward more quickly because they indicated that they were going to need the ICE report. So we volunteered to provide the ICE report to GDOT in order to push the process through more quickly. So we went from a 6-month review process for them down to a 3-month review process, which in the email, he indicated that he agreed that a traffic light was feasible, but they still have to complete their paperwork in order to push it towards the next step. So what we know is something, regardless of whether it is a light, a median, a R-cut, something was getting ready to happen at that intersection because of the input that the city has already had to GDOT. What he indicated to us and what we are willing to do is make us a right in, right out only, so there is no left turns into or out of, if that is what is necessary, in order to push us forward and allow for the project to move without any delay. And until the light is installed or the improvements are made, that again, we would only be able to do a right in, right out. That may be some inconvenience, but also understand this project will not come online until 2022. It would take us over a year to get, about a year to get through the development process as well as build out the facility. So we would not want any stops at the LDP level. It may be at the CO level, but quite honestly, we believe that the right in, right out protects the residents that would be coming in and out of the facility until the light is installed. And with that said, we cannot hold up. We cannot hold up. I just wanted to say this, we cannot hold up. If we don't get this approved this month, then we lose our financing. We can't wait 3 months for a decision.
But
Mayor,
are you saying
are
that
you recognizing the queue, Mayor?
I thought I still had the floor because I asked her up. I mean, I guess you could resolve that.
I just asked the mayor, the chair. Chair, are you recognizing the queue?
Nonetheless, I think I still have the floor, correct, Mr. Mayor? I just want to finish this conversation up. I mean,
I'm asking the chair for clarity.
Wow.
I mean, I'm asking the chair. And who am I supposed to ask? Because I thought the last question came from Catherine Rao.
Mr. Mayor, you asked me if I would like to bring her back up after I last spoke. She's just responded. May I continue or actually address it as you will?
Mayor, are you here?
I think the mayor is having some trouble, Madam Pro Tem.
I'm sorry, I'm here now. Mr. Baker, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think that my question, just for clarity, and I think you did answer it, were you prepared to move forward knowing that you would have a halt at the land disturbance permit process if GDOT doesn't properly, I guess, align with what our request is when it comes to the staff's recommendation. So if you are okay with that, I have no problem doing that.
If I could get clarity on what the staff is saying, because what I was suggesting was that it be approved with a condition that it would be a write-in, write-out only, unless and until the GDOT makes the appropriate modifications at the intersection of at Jonesboro and Peters Road. And if you wanted to make that specifically the traffic light, that's fine, but that we would have a write-in, write-out only until the traffic light is installed, at which time we could have a full service entry. If your suggestion is that we would not be able to obtain our land development permit until GDOT has in fact funded or installed the light, that's not going to work.
Okay. Mr. Baker, if you don't mind, let me go to the next speaker and I'll bring you back.
But I guess then I would like to make a motion while I have the floor to follow the staff recommendation that Director Reed.
I don't know what the recommendation is.
Hold on, he has the floor, Mr. Baker. He's only talking because he allowed you to.
Right. Director Reed, will you please state what we contended earlier?
Yes, sir. I recommend that council allows for us to have, us being city staff, have a conversation with GDOT and the applicant to allow for us to have a clear understanding of what the transportation remedies or measures will be for that location prior to a decision being made. And that will be a January council meeting that we're asking to hold that off until.
I second.
Yeah.
Discussion.
Okay.
Mayor, are you recognizing the queue?
Mr. Baker, I'm recognizing the queue, but I did not understand Mr. Baker was asking understanding what the motion from her would be. He did not make a motion. So Mr. Baker, are you making that motion?
Right. I would like to make a motion to follow staff recommendation. I do not want to be vulnerable. I do not want it on my conscience if something were to happen to our vulnerable population if this facility comes, given that the proper traffic steps haven't been taken. I understand that we're close. And if it takes another meeting to get there and they lose their funding, then that would be really, really bad. But if we have a situation where we're putting our seniors at risk, I could live with losing this. If it's going to take another month and they're going to lose their funding.
I second Mr. Baker's motion.
Now that he's made one, Helen, but we accept your second. That was discussion by Ms. Rao.
Are you recognizing the queue, Mayor? I was in the queue for a very long time.
Go ahead, then we'll have a discussion by Ms. Rao.
Mayor, I agree with the staff recommendation, and I totally agree. And I'm going to support Councilmember Baker on this. And here's why. You cannot obligate GDOT. You cannot put a condition on this obligating GDOT. I worked with GDOT for a very long time to get the roundabout on Highway 29. Here's why. Number one, they have their approval process. I understand there was a traffic study submitted to GDOT, but are they going to accept that, or do they have to do their own traffic study? Then there's a process of public hearings. Once they have, first of all, it has to be approved. GDOT has to have it approved by their budget. And then when they have it approved, they have to come up with a design concept. Then they have to have public hearings from the community. And who's to say that GDOT is not going to come back and say that instead of doing a traffic light, a roundabout needs to go there. So I think it is very prudent of staff and Councilmember Mark Baker to, before they proceed, that they sit down and have a factual discussion with GDOT. Thank you.
Okay, I think that was one of his motions. This was included. Ms. Rao, go ahead.
I mean, I think the council will move as they will, but I mean, we say this like the funding is a pack of gum. I'm just being realistic. And so I just wanted to ask Ms. Battle one question. Were you saying that what you were proposing, the developer would pay for those 2 turns in? It could be more required by GDOT, but you're willing to do the two turning lanes in? Did I understand that correctly in terms of your recommendation?
I recommended that the site only be allowed to have a right in, right out. The problem was with traffic turning left in or out of the project. That was what was the most concern. Right. So the solution is, instead of holding us up, that we would agree that we would only have a right in, right out of the project. That completely eliminates the concerns about left turns that would be dangerous for people to make. And I'm not sure, and that's what we were proposing as a condition.
And that, okay. And so that could move forward, but it could be additional depending on what GDOT comes back and says.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. That if they went ahead and installed the light, then we could have a full service entrance. But until then, all we get is the right in, right out.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I have Mr. Khalid. We'll hear from him, and then we'll take a vote. Mr. Khalid.
Yes. So a couple of things. I think one, we've made it clear as a city that we are not interested in being zoned as a logistics hub or warehouse district. I think that it's also becoming clear that we're not interested in our roads just being highways for other logistics hubs. And so my first question is, just in the comprehensive plan, Ms. Reed, does the comprehensive plan include reimagining roads like state routes that are not necessarily under our control? Like, does ARC work with GDOT when we're doing our comprehensive plan for 138 and 279?
The best practice for any government is when we have identified to increase densities or allow for there to be any changes to our land use map, we allow first for the drafting of that plan to have GDOT at the table, so that when we're drafting the plan, they're fully aware of what's to come. Secondly, once it's being adopted, of course, we're providing that file over to GDOT for their proposals. That same thing will be done with Fulton County Schools, MARTA, you name it. So this would be something that they can put in their vision moving forward, their plans.
Thank you. And so it's my hope, regardless of what happens with this individual zoning case, that we begin to think about master planning this area so that it's not just these big 4 and 5 lane highways. I don't think that GDOT will come back and say that they're going to put a traffic circle on a 5 lane highway, but I do think I have seen cases where because Councilwoman Willis talked about the funding and that being a part of GDOT's decision, I have seen instances where GDOT has allowed for developers to pay for the lights and the road improvements as a way to fast track funding. Is that a possibility, that if they came back, if they were like, yes, we agree to the light, but we don't have money for it, if the developer is willing to pay for it, we'll go forward? Where is that in the calculation of this decision in terms of timing?
That would be a part of the discussion. Would you not say, Mr. Reeves, that you want to have?
I'm sorry. Yes, sir. That is correct. That is a conversation I'd like to have with GDOT.
All right. Well, then, in that case, I agree with Dr. Baker's concerns. You know, he's modest. He's not going to tell you that he got his PhD, but Dr. Baker, I agree with his concerns and I support his motion.
Well, thank you. Glad to know that, Dr. Baker. Thank you for being modest. At this time, I'd like a roll call vote, please.
So roll call vote. Motion by Councilmember Baker, seconded by Councilmember Willis, to hold this item to allow staff to have a conversation with the Georgia Department of Transportation and the applicant prior to a decision being made. Councilmember Rao.
Abstain.
Councilmember Gomes.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
That motion is approved 6-1. I mean, one abstention.
Next item.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I just want clarity, if you'd allow me just for 30 seconds. It's one of those things where from my understanding with the conversation with Director Reed, if we allowed that to move forward, they would already have a land disturbance permit. They would have that left and right turnout, but we wouldn't be at liberty to obligate them any further.
Okay.
So I just wanted to counter in reference to what the District 1 representative said, and I understand she abstained, but it's that I think would be vital to that population. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next item, item 9, M20-002, request council to consider a modification for Bedford Estates located at Camp Creek for the purpose of removing an entrance gate requirement. Planning staff.
All right, we can go ahead and go right to the next slide. I assure all of you as I walk you through this verbally, it will make much more sense when we get these site plans up on the screen. It was originally platted as phase 2 of a CUP, and this is to remove a entrance gate requirement as one of their conditions. The original conditions called for gating, and the phase 1 of this, the main entrance, does have a gate. You'll see on an upcoming map, the original connection between phase 1 and phase 2 is not feasible due to a stream being there and overall topography. And because of this, they did not modify any of the conditions, however. So what you'll see upcoming is phase 2 will connect to phase 5 across the street, and they will add a second emergency access point so that the new development is not isolated. If the gate is left in place, what's going to happen in effect is this small section will be gated off from the rest of the development by itself and will not have as good throughfare access. Staff recommendation here is approval, and there has been discussion with the council member for this district. If we can go to the next slide, please. You can see it's in the middle of our screen. The parcel outlined in blue is a CUP, and it is currently undeveloped. I can go to the next slide, please. I'll walk you through what you're seeing right now in preparation for the next slide. At the top of this is the first phase of this development, which has been constructed. The part in the lower right is the section that is in question today. If you look in the middle of the screen, you will see a single road crossing a thick black line, which also crosses a stream in a buffer area. That is the area that is not being constructed, the road that is not being constructed due to the topography of that particular area. I want to also call your attention to the...
That's how he have his shit parked out there.
Oh.
Mr. Baker, whoever that is, was that you or who?
I think that was the clerk speaking.
Somebody needs to mute their phone. That's all. Go ahead.
Okay. If we also look at the vertical road coming in at the bottom, you'll see a small rectangular, what looks like a parking area off to the left. That will be the gate area in question. If you also pay attention to the vertical road that runs parallel to that road that's slightly to the left of that road, there'll be changes to that on the next slide as well. So we can go to the next slide, please. You will see here at the top of your screen, that same black line is there, the same stream. That connecting road is no longer there. You will see on the left-hand side of your screen, the new proposal is for emergency access with the lockbox to a already developed section of this development. And the lower part of your screen is the gate area. That is where we are asking for the modification of the condition to occur so that the gate is no longer required. That completes the staff portion of this report.
All right, I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody against, Mr. Clerk?
No, Mr. Mayor, we did not receive any comments for or against this application.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing. I think this is Ms. Gomes, am I correct?
It is, and I had a conversation with some of the residents, and there's still a little bit of confusion. So I have spoken with Attorney Battle, and I will defer this for 30 days just so we can have a little bit more communication with the community, and then we will move forward. So I'd like to make a motion to defer until our January meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Probably moved to second. In discussion. Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote to defer this item for 30 days until the January meeting. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gums.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Aye. Aye.
That motion was approved unanimously to defer.
Okay, next item, please.
Next item.
I'm sorry.
Next item.
Next item, item 10, M20-003. Request council to consider a modification for Kingsland amenity located off of West Stubbs Road for the purpose of adjusting the amenities. Planning staff.
Yeah, planning staff. I'll go ahead.
Mr. Clerk, sorry for that. I got a little too excited. 2003 modification for Kingsland Phase 2. We can go to the next slide, please. This is to a request to modify the amenity package for a subdivision that's coming in. The original case for this subdivision involved the then petitioner acquiring several extra pieces of property that he did not acquire. So the original plans were over 300 homes. The current petitioner is Parent Homes. They acquired this property from the previous developer. Are developing now a project which I believe is now shrunk to 123 homes instead of 127. We can go to the next slide. The current amenity package requires an Olympic-sized pool, a 1,200 square foot clubhouse, outdoor playground, and other amenities. To be perfectly frank, the amenity package is both too large and too expensive on a monthly dues basis for a subdivision that is less than half the size of the original proposal. So they are asking for modifications to do a smaller clubhouse, a splash pad instead of a pool, and a basketball court. The recommendation here is for approval. They have already had discussions with the council member as well. We can go to the next slide, please. Again, the zoning map showing where it is located and the aerial map showing the property being undeveloped as of when the map was taken. Next slide, please. You'll see here is the long meandering road. The key area is the red on the left. That is the new proposed amenity area. Go to the next slide, please.
That one way in and
This is a site plan of the new amenity area. You'll see a clubhouse, a splash pad, playground, a basketball court with appropriately sized parking lot. And the last slide, please. This is a artist rendering of the new proposed amenity package. And with that, the staff presentation is complete.
I'll open the public hearing. Anybody against, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, sir. There is one comment that was received from Miss Betty Scott, who lives on West Stubbs Road in District 2. She states, I am the owner of 3460 West Stubbs Road, and I believe this may be the applicant. The proposed hearing on December 8th at 10 a.m. should be postponed and reset for a hearing. I was out of town on a family emergency matter. I only became aware of the hearing on Monday evening after returning home. The proposed zoning matter will have an adverse impact on my property, and I request appropriate time to review the request and to make any timely comments deemed necessary. It seems that my notice was via regular mail in lieu of certified mail. I therefore request a reset of this December 8th meeting until proper notice has been given in accordance with the local board. In the alternative, when was the appeal process notice, time, what was the legal organ used? And yeah, this is the only comment received in opposition.
Okay, is the developer here? Developer here.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, how are you all? Thank you, council, and thank you, Nathan. In terms of the Betty Scott issue, we are currently in a lawsuit with Ms. Scott about the property that she owns. We closed on that piece of property back in 2015, so I would like to keep that issue separate from today's discussion, if that's okay with everyone. I'll go ahead and start about the phase 2 amenity change. My name is Rick Porter. This is Kendall King, and you have Eugene James as well. Our office is located at 20 Mansell Court East, Suite 100, Roswell, Georgia, 30076. To give some more history on top of what Nathan said, Perrin began working on the conceptual amenity plan for Kingsland at the end of last year. After meeting with community development and planning and zoning, Perrin was told that we would need a zoning modification to change the amenity package. Since this was a fairly new subdivision, and there were not many Kingsland homeowners with whom to discuss the amenity, it was suggested that we reach out to the Cliftondale Community Club for input on the amenity plan, as they're the homeowners association that represents property owners in the area. I will add that the approximately 1 acre amenity area does not have capacity to have the currently zoned amenity package. Additionally, the currently zoned amenity package would be suitable for the intended 300 to 400 lot subdivision, but not for the current 124 lot subdivision. Over the past year, we devised an amenity plan that includes a clubhouse, a splash pad, a children's playground, and basketball court. This was ultimately approved by the Cliftondale Community Club. Several weeks ago, we sent out notices to all property owners within a quarter mile to give detail on the new proposal, as well as to invite them to a community Zoom meeting that we held a few weeks ago. We did receive a few inquiries from property owners in the area that were not in the Kingsland subdivision. They did not have any opposition to it. As far as the actual community Zoom meeting, the only person to join us was Mr. Reed from the Cliftondale Community Club. Unfortunately, no homeowners were there to discuss the plan, but we did go over the plan in more detail, and he emphasized that the clubhouse was the most important part of the amenity, as it serves as a gathering area for people in the neighborhood. We subsequently had a call with Councilwoman Gums last week to inform her of our proposal, and she suggested, and we agreed, that we should try and reach out again to the homeowners directly to get as much input as possible. It was also discussed that the adjacent Amherst subdivision has had some people from outside the community that have been gathering at the basketball court that was unwanted by both the Amherst subdivision and Kingsland subdivision as well. We directly called and emailed Kingsland homeowners after the fact, and we were successful in getting in touch with several homeowners who gave various feedback. It was brought to our attention that additional open space with a gazebo and sitting areas for gathering may be preferable to a basketball court. So Perrin's suggestion today is to include in the modified zoning a clubhouse, a splash pad, children's playground, and open space area, incorporating a gazebo and sitting areas. We will continue to work with the homeowners as we begin the permitting process to nail down exactly what the homeowners would like to see in their community. Thank you.
Okay. I'll close the public hearing. Ms. Gomes, is that you?
Yes, it is. I did want to ask Director Reed. I understand that Perrin Homes is in litigation with Ms. Cook. Are we still proceeding to move forward with this today, or we're deferring?
At the time, the applicants have provided an affidavit as property owners. And at this time, we're speaking with what has been provided to us as the property owner. So we're moving forward based on the fact that we do not have anything that shows anything different than that at this time.
And Ms. Gomes, he did say that is a separate legal issue.
Gotcha.
Which I think he's
All
right.
right. So I'd like to make a motion to approve following staff recommendation for the modification for M20-003 Kingsland Phase 2.
Second.
Properly moved to second. I have an issue. Would you go back to the plat where it shows the location of the amenity?
Ms. Caldwell?
Staff, can you hear me?
Ms. Caldwell?
Yes,
go back
sir.
to the slide, I believe.
Go back to the staff that shows the plat that shows the actual location of the amenity. All right. All right, that's it right there. What's the road in front of it? What's the road there in front of it?
West Stubbs Road.
Okay.
It's only one entrance.
Yes. You
It's
know,
only one entrance.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, and Ms. Gilliard probably going to agree with me when I tell you this, is that I'd never been a proponent of having the amenity package up front. And on top of that, we have consistently said that a basketball court is an attractive nuisance. Ms. Gilliard, that's what we had in our subdivision. Am I right? Ms. Gilliard. Well, anyway.
Wait a minute. Yes, you're absolutely correct. 1000%.
Right.
Problem.
And we had two basketball courts. We took all the groves down because they were attractive nuisances. We've had to call the police. And when you put that kind of amenity package close to the street, there's not a lot of people can say, but if you notice our new zoning, when we have amenity package, we back them off of the street. So I'm, Miss Gums, I'm a little bit concerned about, you know, that package being on the back. And as for the clubhouse, I don't know. I think it should be bigger, but that's just me. How many houses in here?
123.
What's the value of those homes?
275.
Yeah. Like I said, I just think the clubhouse should be bigger. I'm not favoring the basketball courts, and I don't think amenities should be at the front of the subdivision. So that's all I have.
Well, they're removing the basketball
one
court.
way in and out.
Hold up. She made a point, Ms. Gunn. What is it?
So they are removing the basketball court to put a gazebo and more green space there. And I do believe that when I asked them, they did say that that front amenity was fenced, if I'm correct, especially around that splash pad for the kids.
Is it fenced, sir? I'm talking to the developer. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Porter.
It was a little difficult hearing. Could you repeat that?
Is the amenity package fenced in?
Is it fenced in?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, it is.
All right. Well, okay. I'm still not in favor of that close to the street, but if it's fenced in, I guess they're trying to make it safe. So
I'm not in favor of it either, but I guess because it came in front of Fulton County.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. All right.
And there's only one way in and out, right?
Correct. The amenity package is at the front of the community along West Stubbs Road. Wow. That is how it was permitted, and actually we have our permit, which was approved by City of South Fulton on this phase, and that was ultimately based on the creek and the topography of the site. That was the only place to put an amenity package, but it will be fenced in.
Okay. All right. All has been said. Let's vote, please.
Roll call vote to approve the modification requests per staff's recommendations. Motion by Councilmember Gums, second by Councilmember Rao. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gums.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
That item was approved unanimously.
Okay, congratulations. Our next item, please.
Next item is public. You're welcome. Next item is public comment. Mr. Mayor and Council, we have 9 public comment speakers. I will set the clock to 30 minutes per the council meeting rules. The first speaker, Hazel Manata, who lives on Shancy Lane in District 6. I will start by saying that it is disappointing to see the public bickering and infighting. I would like to propose that we allow the mayor to appoint his staff attorney. I think this will be a better long-term solution for the city. However, there must be checks and balances to ensure integrity of services and good fiduciary responsibility. However, the city could use an attorney in the compliance department. Someone needs to review how business is conducted and how contracts are awarded by city government to avoid corruption and backdoor schemes. The current city attorney may be kept on as city staff to head such a department. If the current city attorney is only interested in contractual services, then she should go where a contract is being offered. Contracted services are usually more expensive than hired staff. I will say this, as homeowners of the city of South Fulton, we are tired of the constant bickering and infighting. Either the council can get it together or we will have to file a class action lawsuit to dissolve the city and be annexed by the city of Atlanta. We are sick of it. The next speaker, Charles Mitchell, who lives on West Stubbs Road in District 4. The zoning code and associated comprehensive land use plan is established to provide land development and usage requirements to protect residents and protect owners, investments, and quality of life. This includes minimizing the impact on available utilities in order to maintain a level of service that will not jeopardize the safety of the residents and the public. There is no provision in the city of South Fulton requiring developers to mitigate and pay for the impact of their developments on the public infrastructure. At this time, the residents are required to provide for the necessary improvements to mitigate the impact of development. Thus, the taxpayers are subsidizing developers to the benefit of the developer. The zoning code rewrite appears to have been revised to the benefit of the development community and not for the protection of the existing residents' quality of life. The zoning code rewrite will allow developers to increase development density beyond the current comprehensive land use plan and thus impact the available public infrastructure to the point of diminished service. Diminished service will result in diminished quality of life and safety of the residents and the public. The zoning code rewrite must not be approved until sufficient requirements are included to require developers to improve or at a minimum contribute to the cost of their development's impact on the public infrastructure. The residents of the city of South Fulton must no longer accept the city council's excuses that they are not responsible to provide all of the infrastructure to protect the residents. The council is making decisions that impact service delivery. The residents must demand that the council make zoning decisions based on the available infrastructure to maintain a safe and acceptable level of service, or require the developer community to make provisions to mitigate the impact of their developments. The zoning code rewrite must not be adopted until these provisions are included. Next speaker, Sam Hodge, who lives on Ridge Road in District 4. As a resident of the city of South Fulton, I am asking for your support of a strengthened smoke-free policy that will protect my family when we go out to our city of South Fulton establishments. My family will not involve itself with any establishment for neither work nor pleasure that allows smoking on or inside its premises. We consider no smoking a prerequisite. Next speaker, Mr. Richard B. Allen, who lives on Wolf Creek Circle in District 3. As a citizen of our city, I understand the need to rewrite zoning regulations. But in doing so, such regulations should include standards that are in the best interest of homeowners, businesses, and our communities in the city. The proposed new zoning standards need to have requirements for developers to cover the cost of infrastructure that go with the new development coming to the city. This is lacking from what I see and needs to be addressed. In addition, the rewrite needs to have language to protect residents by requiring a notice to be sent to residents when they live within 3/4 of a mile of where land disturbance is involved, with the permit as such activity may impact those residents' quality of life. I ask that this matter not be approved or adopted at this time, but be delayed for 45 days to allow additional time for city council members to get with community residents to work on important outcomes. Next is Mrs. Pamela Harris, who lives on Lyon Avenue in District 1. Newsflash, the Georgia Municipal Association is not going to pay this expense, and neither should we. There was a 1966 case under Koffler versus Eastern, explaining that the suit may be maintained against officers or agents personally because while claiming to act officially, they have committed or they threaten to commit wrong or injury to the person or property of plaintiff, either without right and authority or contrary to the statute under which they purport to act. Since Roger Bruce has stated he's the author of House Bill 921, his bill should be his bill. Next is a comment from Mr. Michael Venable, who lives on Montilly Circle in District 6. The meeting schedule for next year may be appropriate for the virtual phase due to the pandemic, but if and when in-person meetings resume, the council meetings need to return to the evening time so that there may be participation from the working public and mirror the Fulton County cities. In order to be fair to future city council candidates, the fees should mirror the last election cycle. Even though the city council compensation increased, those candidates were not required to pay the increased fee. Next speaker, Mr. Laurel Brackey, who lives in Atlanta. Secondhand smoke causes damage to the cardiovascular system and increases risk for stroke by 20 to 30%. City of South Fulton residents are still working in environments that expose them to dangerous secondhand smoke. We believe no one should have to choose between their health and a paycheck. The American Heart Association asks for your support of a strong smoke-free policy that will protect all bartenders, servers, musicians, workers, as well as patrons in the city of South Fulton. Next is a comment from Ms. June Dean, who lives in Smyrna, Georgia. Regarding the proposed smoke-free air ordinance, on behalf of the American Lung Association in Georgia, thank you for the opportunity to provide these comments. The American Lung Association, the oldest voluntary public health organization in the United States, supports proposed amendments to the current City of South Fulton smoke-free ordinance to close loopholes that allow smoking and vaping in places such as bars and enclosed smoking rooms and workplaces. It will foster safer, healthier environments for everyone who lives, works, and visits the city of South Fulton. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, estimates that exposure to secondhand smoke kills over 41,000 Americans per year, and it is a known cause of lung cancer, heart disease, and stroke. In addition, secondhand smoke can cause or make worse a wide range of damaging health effects, including respiratory infections and diseases such as asthma. We thank you for your public service and your consideration of this important public health concern. The last comment is Mrs. Megan McNulty, who lives in Atlanta. As a professional engineer in Georgia with expertise in building ventilation systems and indoor air quality, I support City of South Fulton strengthening the smoke-free ordinance. The only means of eliminating the health risks associated with indoor environmental tobacco smoke exposure is to ban smoking inside and near buildings. No engineering approaches, such as dilution, ventilation, air curtains, or air cleaning, can control exposure once ETS is present. In the interest of the health of those who live, work, and visit South Fulton, I ask for your support of the strengthened ordinance as well. Mayor and Council, that completes the public comment for today. Mr. Mayor?
Madam, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, next item is Chief Financial Officer's Monthly Report, October 2020 Financial Report. Mr. Malazzi.
Good afternoon, Mayor and the City Council. We have our first report in our new fiscal year starting October 1, 2020. It has been communicated that we need to streamline our reporting, so that I'm going to do the same. I will leave more of the time any questions and comments that you may have. So as of October 31, 2020, General Fund collected 14,169,532, our revenues as of October 31st. And we also collected $1.4 million in other funds. So both corrections for General Fund and the other funds, we collected the $15,646,92. At the same time, ending October 31st, 2020, General Fund spent $3,188,288, and we only spent in other funds $85,995 for a total expenditure of $3.2 million. We collected 15 million. We spent 3.2 million. General Fund ended the first month of the fiscal year with a surplus of $10.9 million. That's a revenue remove expenditures. 2021 adopted budget is closely being monitored as we do not know when economy will get back to normal. That has been impacted by COVID-19. That is getting worse every day. So the more facilities we are still closed, the limited revenues we are getting, but we are monitoring the expenditures and revenue. So far, we are good, but we don't know how long it will take. With that, I will stop and be available for questions and comments that you may have for our October financial report.
I don't see anyone in the queue. Anybody making those comments? Okay, hearing none. Let's move on, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Clerk? Mr. Adams, do you hear me?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. The next item is the City Manager's Monthly Report, October 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Good afternoon, everyone, again. I did want to add one additional thing to Mr. Malazzi's report. Our year-end audit for fiscal year 2020 will soon be starting. Our auditors are Malden and Jenkins. So I just wanted to make you aware that they will begin that auditing process. C-Click Fix currently has a combined 24 cities and counties in the state of Georgia that are using the application. Currently, the city of South Fulton has closed the most requests in Georgia this year and has shown the largest amount of growth in requests received and closed. Last year, the city of South Fulton was ranked 7th against more than 200 other clients in performance in 2019. So we are hoping to be ranked higher this year. So I just wanted to bring attention to you that we are really gaining a lot of benefit from having the C-Click Fix application. Public Works on Saturday, October 17th, 2020, the city of South Fulton, we hosted the fall cleanup event. Approximately 55 tons of materials was collected at Mert Miles and Creel Park facilities. As a result of this service, 1,700 residents were able to safely dispose of 172 tons of unwanted waste. Also in early October, our Public Works launched the Clean Community Crew program to eliminate and reduce the amount of waste and dumping found throughout the city. In addition to providing regular scheduled cleanings in high litter and dumping areas, the crew focused on cleaning several hotspots in Districts 1, that's Baker Ferry, Boat Road, Camp Fulton Way. It is worth noting that there were only 31 illegal dumping sites cleaned during the month of October. And I'm proud to say we have this program, and we will continue to navigate and have our crews across the city, because I do know that there are many other areas that we need to focus our attention on. The CARES Act funding project, I just wanted to give you an update on that. Specifically the Emergency Rental Mortgage Assistance Program. The Georgia Micro Enterprise Network was selected as the most qualified firm to serve as the fiscal agent for this program. At the request of council at the last meeting, the staff and I did increase the funding for this project from $750,000 to $921,000. That's an increase of $171,000. So we were able to increase for approximately $25,000 for each district. The intake of applications closed on November 13th, 2020. The city received a total of 719 applications. Utilizing GIS and the intake application data, staff determined that 272 applicants were ineligible for services due to the applicants not being residents of the city of South Fulton, or their income was reported above the program maximum. The Georgia Micro Enterprise Network is officially handling the program and will be contacting applicants on their status to begin the document collection process. That's basically income verification before processing rental and mortgage payments. And I do want to thank our staff for the work that they've done on this particular program. The Small Business Grant Program, Villa Micro Fund, a Georgia nonprofit corporation, is specializing in providing funds for small businesses and has secured the help to administer the grant program on behalf of the city of South Fulton and Destination South Fulton. At the request of council at the last meeting, we were able to increase that amount from $500,000 to $660,000, an increase of $160,000. I know that there was a request of a $250,000 increase at the last meeting. That information was shared to me by one of the council members, but it is my understanding that those funds are not available.
That many people anyway. It might be more fun with not that many people actually. Right.
So with the increase, that allows us to award 8 additional businesses.
And then I'll invite Alexis.
Hold up a minute.
Yeah.
Some of you need to mute your phones. Thank you. Continue, Ms. Jones.
Okay. All right. And I'll be closing here shortly. As of Friday, December the 4th, 2020, 42 businesses submitted grant applications. Village Microfund is, and I think I said Villa earlier, it should be Village Microfund, is currently reviewing applications to ensure that they are complete. A review committee established by this particular nonprofit will review all completed applications on Thursday of this week and notify all applicants of their status by Friday of this week. So again, we're very happy with the staff being able to get this program going. Our communications department, also at the last council meeting, you directed me and the staff to do a mailer. Our communication staff was able to complete the mailer and also did 2 videos about the rental and mortgage assistance and the small business grant that the mayor was featured in those videos. The mailer will be going out this week, and we are very excited. It's a trifold mailer that will go out to the homes, and we were able to allocate $25,000 to that particular communications effort. As a result of having to reallocate money to certain programs, I would like at this time for the council to approve the revised CARES Act plan that was outlined in the memo that I sent to you on yesterday. And this will allow staff to make the adjustments needed to fund these programs before the December 15th deadline that has been established. So Mayor, at this time, that is a request of staff that we get an approval from the council.
Okay, we'll get there. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Mr. Khalid is in the queue.
Okay.
Mr. Khalid.
Hi, thank you, Ms. Jones. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
So I just 2 quick things. One, first of all, thank you for you're doing an excellent job. I know you had to hit the ground running.
Thank you.
The bulk trash days, I got a lot of complaints from my seniors that they didn't have enough time. And then I did a whole other one, and I got a lot of complaints. They still didn't have enough time. Would it be possible that we get at least 30 days notice of when that date is? Many of my constituents are saying, I guess it takes some time to gather everything up for the bulk trash delivery. And then there's also a deadline for senior pickup.
Okay, all right.
And
yes,
then
we can work on that.
Thank you. And then my second request is, when the grants are awarded, could we get a list of the recipients and the award amounts?
Yes, we should be able to give that information out. Now, are you wanting that for both programs or one specific one?
Oh, for the business programs, not
the business program. Okay, all right. Yes, I think that's not a problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Willis and then Ms. Ryle.
Thank you, Ms. Sala Jones, for a thorough report. You are doing a good job. I know it's a lot, and you are hit with a lot starting with us. I would like to ask a few questions. Number one, we need a plan to clean up the right-of-ways of Highway 29, Old National, and Camp Creek. This council did allocate money in the budget to piggyback off of the state contract to augment their contract. They're on a 45-day cutting cycle, and that is the only time they will clean right-of-ways. A lot of these right-of-ways are state highways. They're the gateway to our city. When people drive through our city, the council approved this so that we can make sure that we are augmenting that litter pickup cycle to help clean our city. So if I have requested this in an email and I'm asking this on record, we need a plan like ASAP so that we can start and to figure out how we can keep our right-of-ways cleaner.
Okay, all right. I've made a note of that.
I have 2 more things. Yes, Mayor.
Okay, I just want to add the fact you're absolutely correct. The city manager and I rode, was it Friday, Ms. Jones, I think it was?
That's correct, yes.
And we are much concerned to add to that, Councilwoman, is the fact that there's a lot of cut up logs from the storm that are still in the right of way that we must get out of there. So I just want to add that to what you said.
Thank you, sir. The other thing is the programming in our park facilities. I know that, and I want to say this because I was very, very disturbed that some park and recreation staff members and some of your supervisors, really got upset because some of us council members, protested against the programming that involved children in our park facilities. And although we have the signs posted on the outside saying people are at their own risk, at the end of the day, there's no secret that Georgia virus numbers are now at the peak, and the nation is now at the peak. And city of South Fulton is a continuous hotspot with a 30349 zip code. And so my question to you is, have you made any decision on, are we going to allow continue to allow in-person programming in the park facilities for children?
Well, I have not. That's the first time that question has been posed to me. And if you don't mind, I'd like to have maybe an opportunity to meet with our staff to determine specifically what we have, if we do have anything, and if we do have anything, then I need to talk to them about what the plan is for continuing that, because you're right. I mean, our numbers are going up. Unfortunately, we had to eliminate the educational pods program that we were going to try to do. That was going to involve a situation where individuals were going to have to come into our facility, and our city facilities are closed, and in order to make sure that we are keeping everybody safe, I made the decision and directed our staff that we probably should hold off on doing that particular program at this time. But if you will just allow me an opportunity to maybe follow up with our staff to see what we have, I certainly don't have a problem checking into that and then circling back with you and the rest of the council.
And thank you, Ms. Sally Jones. And I just want to remind you that we did have a reopening plan. And according to phase 3 and what was reported to this council, that we were not going to have in-person programming until we saw a decline in the spread over a 14 to 30-day period. And that never happened. So to hear that it was, in-person programming without coming back to this council, which is not what's in the reopening plan, was just a shocker. So I really appreciate you making that decision. I think that was the right decision, and I trust whatever decision you're going to make going forward. The last thing I want to say to you is, as you release information of who the recipients are of our CARES Act programming, let's, I think that we need to put some protocol on what we want to release to the public. Let's treat people with dignity and respect. Yes, we're helping them, but a lot of people are prideful and they don't want the whole world knowing that they're having hard times. We're in a position as the city to help them through the CARES funding, but I just ask that we try to be respectful. As it's good for us to have the information, but I don't think it should end up in somebody's newsletter that voila, we gave so-and-so $1,500, for their rent or to save their business. I just think we should do it we need to put a process in place and do it in a respectful way. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Willis. Ms. Rao, you have the floor now. Ms. Rao, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, Councilwoman Willis, for talking about the need to secure our right-of-ways, clean them up. That's also, we have issues with our medians in our city too. And so I hope we really focus on keeping our main commercial corridors pristine if we want to kind of track the economic development we all talk about. Secondly, I wanted to follow up to our last meeting. Ms. Sally Jones, did you get the transition report from our city attorney?
I have not. The city attorney and I did meet via virtual meeting on yesterday, and she went through several items that she is working on. And she did inform me that she has to reach out to other partners within her firm to get an update on what they are working on. And so she is going to get me that transition plan in the next 30 days. I did, tell her that I know we needed it sooner. The council did give her a directive to have that to me within, I think it was within 48 hours after the meeting on last week. But she informed me that she has other individuals that she needs to talk to in her firm. With the holidays coming up, there are people that are taking off that she needs to address as well. So she assured me that she would have that to me after the first of the year.
Attorney, I'll wait because I think she has I'll ask, I think she has something on the agenda. I'll ask Attorney Barker at that time. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Gomes?
I just had a couple of questions, and I think Councilwoman Rowell and Councilwoman Willis has hit most of my concerns in regards to the right-of-ways and the trash. With the green, I don't know if it's called the green team or the people that's going around picking up trash. Have we implemented that already, or when will that start?
Yes, that has already launched. It launched actually the first part of October. The Clean Community crew.
Okay, and that's the one with the vans and things of that nature. So it's not just used for illegal dumping, but it's used for picking up trash as well?
Yes.
Do we have a schedule for that? Because I can't figure out when they're actually, doing it, and I'm supplementing, people coming in and cleaning up the trash. So I want to make sure I'm being, fair and just and trying to give them an opportunity to clean our streets because they are kind of filthy.
I don't know if there is a schedule. I will follow up with staff and I can circle back with you on that. It was my understanding that they are dispatched to various locations within the city, but if I will definitely find out about the schedule.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
But one question. Did I have a question?
You have a question? I didn't see you on the queue, but go ahead.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Ms. Jones. And to piggyback off to my colleagues' sentiments about the right-of-way cleanups. I remember that there was we had a thing in court with Green Court, like if littering or tickets, if they would be assigned to pay a fine and or picked up where they threw out. Is there any conversations with courts to talk about instead of the and or just they get a fine for littering or anything of that nature to also add an additional 5 to 10 hours of community service to clean up those areas as well?
I haven't had a conversation with court, but I think that's a great idea and I'll certainly explore it.
Thank you.
Okay, I certainly will.
Okay. All right. Next item, please.
Next item is the city attorney's monthly report.
Madam Attorney.
And Mayor, pardon me, before you move on, I did need council to take action on the reallocation.
1 minute. She did have an ask.
I move that we approve the reallocations for the CARES Act that has been recommended by the city manager.
Second.
The properly moved in second. Discussion. Hearing none. Let's have a roll call vote, please, Mr. Clerk.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
That motion was approved unanimously.
Okay, Madam Attorney, you're on.
Yes, Mayor. So I do have an update. on the request on the transition. I would just like to clarify that Councilwoman Willis requested that I bring a transition plan back in 48 hours, but my understanding is that the transition was scheduled for February. As far as the plan in 48 hours, that's pretty much like asking to conceptualize purchase property and put up a Walmart and have it operational in 48 hours. So that's just not realistic, but I do have information on that plan that I provided to the city manager, and I can provide the council more clarity on that too. It is a personnel issue. So if the council would prefer for me to discuss it in executive session, I'll do that unless you want me to give you specifics in public.
I have a general request, Mayor, that I'd like to ask if you would oblige me.
Go right ahead.
I know in the past, you've provided a written report, and I think the last one might have been about 3 months ago, that had a list of things that you were currently working on. In terms of that 48 hours, just a status update on where those things would be the equivalent. I know when we were on a call, you said that wouldn't be a problem. Again, not expecting everything to be, but where things are, that should be able to be updated.
Yeah, so for purposes of having that discussion, I do have a response that I can provide. I mean, my preference would be to do this in executive session because it is a personnel issue, but I mean, if the council would want me to provide insight publicly, I can do that too.
I'm definitely not trying to get anything in personnel because I think we kind of covered that. I'm just saying in terms of that level of written report, that's what I'm referencing. Do you recall the report I'm talking about?
Mayor, may I speak?
I think Ms. Walker needs to answer.
Okay.
If she likes.
Well, the answer, so I take it we are going to discuss it out here.
No, it's really, I'm not trying to go deep. I'm just asking if you know the report that I referenced that you provided to the entire council.
Yeah, I have provided a litigation report, but that report strictly dealt with litigation.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll say the rest for the back.
All right. Ms. Willis.
And I do have, I'd like to advise the council, I do have multiple personnel and real estate matters that are unrelated to the transition, but I will discuss that in executive session too, unless you advise otherwise.
Absolutely, that'd be fine. Ms. Willis?
Mayor, first of all, I would like to clear up something that Attorney Walker just put on the record. The reason Councilmember Rowell is speaking to what she requested last week, because I didn't make the request, it was Councilmember Rowell. And what she specifically, and if you go back and look at the tape and review the minutes, you will see what she simply requested of you was a listing of all the items that you had in litigation. And she made that request because you publicly said we had over 50 items that you were going to have to try within 24 to 48 hours. And you also stated that you had several items that were you said this in public, that you had in the Superior Court. So what Councilmember Rowell came back and said, can you provide a listing of all the items that you have in litigation within 48 hours to City Manager Sala Jones? And you agreed to that. So we didn't ask you for anything in detail, but you should anyway, as our city attorney, be giving us that report on a monthly basis, but you don't, you give it to us sporadically. So I am going to reserve whatever else I have to say to you in an executive session, because I do want to be respectful to you. And this is a personnel matter.
Okay.
But I wanted to clear that up.
Okay, Ms. Walker, then, if you don't have a formal report, you're going to do it in executive session. I'll move on.
Can I speak?
I'm talking to Ms. Walker right now.
Okay.
Ms. Walker's okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll continue the conversation in executive session.
I mean, you can give your report now. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying it looks like everybody's saying in executive session, so it's up to you. Is that all right, Ms. Walker?
Yeah, that would be my preference.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Gilliard, we'll entertain your comments and we'll move on.
I just want to say that if as long as we have a discussion about it, I don't see why doing it in executive session is such a big deal. And we don't have to go through the back and forth. We just go to executive session. There must be a reason if an attorney says, I really want to do this in executive session. So let's just move on, please.
Well, she did. She said that we're moving.
Yeah, let's just move on.
She said that and we're moving on, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, next item, please.
Next item on the agenda is consent agenda. We have items 13 through 22.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Ms. Gill, who seconded?
Yeah.
You did,
Gill
Ms.
Yard.
Gill. Properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, roll call, please.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao?
Yes.
Councilmember Gums?
Yes.
Councilmember Willis?
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard?
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves?
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Aye.
That motion was approved unanimously.
Next item, please.
Next item is item 23. Council's second reading and request approval of an ordinance mandating social distancing at restaurants. Mayor Edwards.
Okay, I won't belabor this a lot because we've already talked about it and we all seen the news reports around the country and even saw some of our neighbor municipalities who's having to deal with the issue of COVID-19. I think we should pass this. I think that we need to take control, not only the people that live in our city, but those people from outside of our city who come to our city for whatever purpose. So I will entertain a motion to approve.
I move that we approve this measure as is.
Second.
We properly moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
I read the letter from the Old National Merchants Association that was sent to us, and I thought that there was some really good comments in it, particularly as it related to parking and some of the things to not just alleviate parking for the particular locations here, but there was one about the street itself. But none of those were added to either one of these, to 23 or 24 that's on the agenda. And I just wonder why, Mr. Mayor.
Let me explain that.
Okay.
I was the one who asked them, seeing what they really thought about what we were doing. That's not a part of my ordinance, but hearing that, if we need to make some changes to add something to the ordinance based on what they sent to you, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, because I read the ordinance and I read what they sent, and there are some things that they have in there that's not in the ordinances.
Well, you can say what you like to see in there. It'll be up to the council to add it.
Oh, that means I have to go back and check it out. I didn't make a list of it.
Yes. Well, go back a minute. I'll entertain Mr. Khalid right fast. Mr. Khalid.
It's okay. I actually have the exact same comment and I have the letter up. So I would like to make
good.
Okay.
I would like
to take them one at a time. Let's take your issues.
No, since Mr. Khalid has it up, just let him do it.
I know that. I'm there. Okay. I'm just asking Ms. Khalid to let's take them one at a time.
Okay. So I would like to make a substitute motion then, because we have a motion on the floor.
All right.
That we accept the ordinance with the change requiring security guards from 2 officers at 6 p.m. to 2 officers at 9 p.m. Friday to Sunday, and 1 officer from 9 p.m. to close Monday through Thursday, unless the restaurant exceeds 40% occupancy on those days.
Okay.
And the only other change is that the ordinance clarify that the parking area loitering will subject the landowner to citation versus the business owner.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. We'll take your first.
Well, Mr. Mayor, you had a motion on the floor. I didn't know if that was a friendly amendment to the motion.
Oh yeah, okay. This is a substitute motion.
Substitute motion, okay?
Yeah, so we take that first, right?
Yes, if it's a substitute, yes.
Let's vote on the substitute motion, Mr. Adams.
Okay, substitute motion. Substitute motion to change 2 parts of the current resolution or ordinance, and that is to change the security guard requirement as outlined in the letter from Old National Merchants, as well as Section A3, clarifying that the parking area loitering will subject the landowner to citation versus a business owner.
Discussion on substitute motion.
Right.
I'm in the queue.
I'm gonna allow you, Ms. Willis. Go ahead.
I just want to make sure that I state this before I vote no. I did take these concessions. I did speak with Chief Meadows about it. Chief Meadows was very candid with me, and he told me that he participated on your meeting, Mayor, and he did participate with the business owners. And he was very candid with the business owners that he did not agree with these concessions. And so I am going to vote no, and I'm voting no based on my conversation with the police chief, who is the chief law enforcement officer of this city. Thank you.
Okay.
Can
we hear from the police chief?
Yeah, that's what I want to hear, his opinion.
Chief, are you there?
Please
yes, I'm here.
Somebody.
Okay. But here's Chief Meadows. Go right ahead.
So, Mayor, as you well know, we've had issues with some of the parking lots around the Old National Corridor. And we found that those parking lots start filling up anywhere between 7 and 8 o'clock. And my preference would be to have officers in place so that they could start managing those parking lots prior to it becoming a problem and an issue. And so I understand that the business owners want to try to conserve some of their resources, but, at the same time, they haven't demonstrated to me the ability to manage their parking lots effectively. And so one of the things that they mentioned was that they wanted the alcohol sales to extend beyond a certain time. And if we can't manage 2 o'clock in the morning, I know we can't manage 3 and 4 in the morning. And so it's been my experience, if we get control of the parking lots prior to them becoming an issue, then it's more manageable. If the owners of these businesses want to manage their parking facilities prior to them becoming busy, then that's perfectly fine, but they haven't demonstrated a willingness to do that at this point.
Okay, thank you, Chief Meadows. Let's vote, please.
I have discussion.
We'll talk Mr. Khalid, and then we'll vote.
So I want to be clear about a couple of things. One, we have not made a request about extending alcohol hours. That would actually be an amendment to the alcohol ordinance. And number two, right now we are putting all of the burden on the business operators and none of the burden on the landowners. And so what this substitute motion seeks to do is to put some of the burden on the landowners, which is the second part of the motion around citing landowners. I believe that when we start citing landowners who are far wealthier than their tenants and who are ultimately legally responsible for their lots, they might be happy to pay for those additional officers earlier than 9 o'clock. But I think it is completely unfair to make the Black business owners, who many of whom live in this city and employ people in this city, fully responsible, while not holding landowners who don't live in this city completely not responsible for any of the financial burden that we are asking them to be.
All right, we're gonna move on to the vote.
Mr. Mayor, friendly amendment to the substitute motion for Mr. Khalid.
Go ahead.
Mr. Khalid, I would like to amend that and drop A about the officers and keep B as citing the landowners for loitering in the parking lot.
But we do that anyway, Mr. Reed. Are you there?
Yes. Are you saying
we do that already? Anyway? I just got off the phone with the landlord up there where South Beach is just this week about trash in the parking lot.
Oh well. I'm sorry. In that case, I would ask that the funds from those citations go to providing security in the lot, because where do those funds go?
That is not something that we could settle here, Mr. Meadows.
I believe it absolutely is, Mr. Mayor. We directed funds to be allocated for blighted properties to a blighted property fund. We've allocated funds to other things. We could say that the monies that we collect.
So you want an enterprise, something like the enterprise fund, just for the fines that have been imposed upon landlords?
Yes, if we're citing landlords and fining them for problems in their parking lot, then we should be using the money that we collect to fix those problems. I mean, if the landlords aren't fixing them, then we should be using the money.
We are, and Ms. Reed, are you still on?
Wait,
Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
So,
go ahead,
I'm sorry?
Go ahead, Mr. Meadows.
Okay, so if it becomes a situation where the city is going to be extending those funds, then that becomes more of a human resource problem logistically for us, because then the city will be paying them for that service, and it becomes more of an issue of overtime as opposed to an off-duty job. And so I would kind of ask that we kind of stay clear of that. Right. And I would defer to human resources if they want to chime in here, but I know logistically we had some issues with city responsibilities to employees when they're in an off-duty capacity.
Well, Mr. Reed, I disagree with you.
No, I will draw my ass.
Can we vote now? Mr.
Is this
Reed?
the vote on the substitute motion?
Substitute motion.
Okay.
Let's vote on the substitute motion.
Substitute motion, motion by Councilmember Khalid, second by Councilmember Gilliard, to implement the changes as per the Old National Merchants Association, items 1, and then item section A3. Councilmember Rao.
Nay.
Councilmember Gums.
No.
Councilmember Willis.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. No.
Councilmember Gilliard. Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember, yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Reeves.
Nay.
Councilmember Khalid.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Mr. Adams, you just said those letters. You weren't clear. I think Councilmember Khalid's motion was to pass this fee along to the actual landowners and not the business owner, correct?
Yeah, I did get that. I didn't know if the seconder agreed to that amendment.
Because if we're voting to pass it on to the actual landowner, I am in agreement with that, and not the business owner.
But I would tell you this, Mr. Baker, that happens right now.
Point of order, Mayor.
Hold on, I was talking to Mr. Baker. Yeah, Mr. Baker was having a conversation, but it happens right now. I know for a fact it does. And if you want more authority on that, we can call Ms. Shayla Reed in. She can tell you.
Well, I is my vote, sir.
Okay. What's the vote, Mr. Reed?
That motion fails 3-4.
Okay. Next item.
No, Mayor, we're supposed to vote on the motion. That was the substitute.
Item is the original motion, Ms.
No, it was not, Mayor. We just voted on the substitute.
Right.
That was a substitute. Now you're back to the main motion.
Right. Right. So let's vote on the main motion.
Main motion is to approve the ordinance. It was motioned by Councilmember Willis, second by Councilmember Reeves. Councilmember Rao,
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes, Councilmember Willis,
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard,
Mama Gomes is on mute.
Abstain.
okay, Councilmember Gomes,
Back
I
on.
thought I said yes. I'm sorry.
You got
I
it.
was on mute.
all right,
Okay.
thank you. Councilmember Reeves,
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid,
No.
Councilmember Baker.
Abstain.
That item is approved. 4-1-2.
Okay. Next item, please.
Next item, item 24. Council second reading and request approval of an ordinance, Title 16, alcoholic beverages regulating entertainment at restaurants. Mayor Edwards.
We had a conversation about this also at the last meeting. I won't belabor it, but I will say this. I find it to be very interesting that two things happened. One happened by the Black Media Association, I think that was the name for them, who wrapped their arms around this situation and says it's not a good thing. The other thing is that the city of Atlanta is looking at the same type of ordinance, which simply says, and I let me say something to you. One of the citizens said today, made a phrase, I like it. He said, clubless dining. I think that's in a nutshell. This is what we're saying. If you're coming to this city and you want to be a dining facility like we're talking about over in Mr. Baker's district, you come in here and that's what you are. You're dining. If you want to be an entertainment deal, you come in and you've been entertainment. This is what we're saying. And Atlanta is saying that they're dodging liquor licenses by coming in as a restaurant and later on down the line becoming something else. So I would solicit your approval on this and I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve this measure as is.
Second.
It's properly moved to second discussion.
I have discussion.
Go ahead, Mr. Khalid.
I think that this legislation is legally indefensible. And I also think that it is short-sighted for where the trends of dining are going. That's it.
Mayor, I have discussion.
Because as I talk to people in Buckhead, all the surrounding areas, this is the kind of thing that they want to have. They want to have a place where people can come in and be entertained and they can have cafe style dining and don't feel pressured, don't feel afraid of doing it. So like I said, if we don't do it, then other municipalities will do it. And guess what's going to happen? All those folks who don't want to comply in those other municipalities is going to come straight here. Thank you.
Mayor, I'm in the queue for discussion.
Go right ahead.
I just want two things. I want to mention that the city of Atlanta, our sister city, the largest city in Georgia, the largest city in Fulton County, is putting forth the same measure. They're having these same issues in the city of Atlanta. And so what we don't need to do is not put the same measure in our city. So when they can't no longer get through the loophole in the city of Atlanta, then they all start running to the city of South Fulton and doing business in an irresponsible way in the city of South Fulton. Second, I would like to say that if this was illegal, then this would have been addressed through the legislative process. The legislative process requires any legislation that we put forth to ratify, it has to go through the legal process. Thank you.
Any other conversation? Hearing none.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir. With all due respect to my colleagues, I think that I've spoken to several individuals about this, and people are quite passionate about it. I believe that what we're doing is it may be something that is indicative to a cultural gap as well as a generational gap. These situations or establishments in the city of Atlanta that we're speaking of, for the most part, there's a cultural gap there. When we have a population or a demographic that's different than the city of Atlanta, even though Atlanta is our sister city. However, there's areas such as Buckhead that has a cultural gap that that make these disparaging contentions about these type of establishments. I think we have to look to our demographic and then find out where we should do whatever it is that we're trying to do to appease that demographic, as well as those individuals who look for the amalgamation of both things that the mayor put forth. And I think we may be missing the mark through this, but yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Let's vote, please.
Roll call vote. It's a vote by motion by Councilmember Willis, second by Councilmember Rao. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Abstain.
Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid.
No.
Councilmember Baker.
No.
That item is approved 4-2-1.
Next item, please.
Next item is council's second reading and approval of an ordinance readopting the City of South Fulton zoning resolution as Appendix C to the City Code of Ordinances, readopting the zoning map and for other lawful purposes.
For when I speak.
Ms. Reed.
Thank you. Awesome. So today we are in the discussion of adopting the zoning ordinance. We've had a number of public participation meetings. We've brought this item before you all a number of times, and we're now just entertaining a discussion or a vote at this time for adoption. Thank you.
I asked that we hold this. I know it's been time, but as the lifeline of our city, particularly there's some questions that have been raised, and I know that we had rounds of public input, but I do ask to hold this as for next meeting to get more public input. But I am going to ask the public that please email everybody concerning this, because the situation that we have now is that we have rounds of public input and we have people who have not participated in that who want to weigh in, and I think that we owe it to the citizens to do at least one more round, and so I ask that we hold this to the next meeting.
Got a motion?
Yes, I move that we hold this to the next meeting.
Second.
There a second?
Second.
Okay, we probably moved the second. Discussion.
Yes, sir. Yes, discussion.
I don't see nobody in the queue, but
we have been working on this ordinance for over a year. We have had numerous public hearings, even the one as of last week, which that was the sole focus.
Right.
We were ready to move. How did we get to this? If it's something minor and we already know we got to revisit this with the comp plan, what is so significant that we would continue to hold up this ordinance?
Okay. Anybody else want to make a comment?
Yes, Mayor, I'm in the queue. I'm not sure why you can't see the queue, because I mean, Mayor, this is a slap in the face to our staff. I totally agree with Councilmember Rao. And I also want to hear from Ms. Reed. Ms. Reed, and the reason I say this is a slap in the face to our staff is because not only have we been working on this over a year, but we extended and put moratoriums in place so that we can allow for more participation to residents. I spent money out of my own budget and mail residents the times that we were having meetings. I went over the summer, put out yard signs So to say that we did not give people an opportunity to participate in the zoning ordinance is not true. We have developers coming at us like crazy, and we are under the Fulton County Code. People wonder why things are getting through. People are wondering why things are being built in the city. It's because we can't stop it under the current code. To put out conflicting and wrong and erroneous information that this staff did not work hard and this staff did not include residents and did not take into account their input is just wrong. Now, I asked Mayor that you allow Ms. Reed, because I've had a conversation with Ms. Reed, and she has said this is going to jeopardize when we can do our comprehensive development plan. This is going to jeopardize how things are being zoned and built in the city. This has a severe impact. Mayor, will you please allow Ms. Reed to speak?
Councilwoman Willis, if Ms. Reed is available to speak, she can proceed.
Thank you, Councilwoman, for the opportunity to speak on this. I must agree that this is very concerning for staff at this point. We've met for over 2 years on this product. We started in 2018. We've met over 30 times with residents. We've met over 12 times with council members. We keep meeting. I respect the opportunity that is being presented to us. However, the concern is, at this point, staff is not sure how to move forward on zoning items, because 1 minute we're doing moratoriums and the next minute we're doing items as far as, or having discussions on whether it should be extended further because the public needs more involvement. We keep inviting. Those who are coming are wishing to come, they are coming. So with that said, you know, we continue to postpone this. Business licenses, construction permits, code violations are all further from the past municipality. We're ready to move forward, as we've heard from the residents who have chosen to participate, as well as the council members who have chosen to participate. We're ready to move forward. We're ready to allow for this zoning file to be our guiding force to better plan for this city. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, can you let me know who else is in the queue?
Currently, I do not see anyone in the queue.
Okay, so we have a vote on the floor.
Yes, there is a motion.
Okay, can you repeat that so we can move forward?
Yeah, it was a motion by Councilmember Reed, seconded by Councilmember Gilliard, to hold this item until the next council meeting.
All right, let's take a vote.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
No.
Councilmember Gums.
No.
Councilmember Willis.
No.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid.
No.
Councilmember Baker.
That's nay.
Okay, that item fails.
So now we'll entertain a motion on the floor to move forward.
I move that we approve the City of South Fulton new zoning ordinance.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Let's do a vote.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gums.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Abstain.
Councilmember Reeves.
Nay.
Councilmember Khalid.
Yes.
And then Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
That item is approved.
Okay, next item, please.
Next item is item 26. And I believe this is the item that Councilmember Gilliard wishes to remove, which is a resolution promoting.
Excuse me, Mr. Adams. The
Yes.
next one was the council to adopt the zoning map. We did the ordinance. We didn't do the map.
Yes, actually, in the resolution, it was part of the title in the actual ordinance. It says readopting an ordinance readopting the City of South Fulton zoning resolution as Appendix C to the City Code of Ordinances, readopting the zoning map and for other lawful purposes.
You said readopting
the zoning map. I'm sorry?
You said readopting or adopting, because this is the new ordinance and the new map, correct?
Yes, the legislation as provided by the city attorney says re-adopting the zoning map.
Oh. Okay, well, it's listed as two different items on the agenda.
I move that we adopt the zoning map listed on the agenda.
Second.
Properly moved to second. Any discussion? Hearing none.
Mayor, the council should have already adopted the map through the resolution that they just adopted.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what I thought, but I was just trying to minimize the
confusion.
confusion.
Have another motion would be futile. Am I correct?
I'm just following the agenda.
Yeah, I think it might just be inadvertently named twice on the agenda if you see it twice.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
I see.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. All right, next item, please.
Next item. A resolution promoting redevelopment and revitalization within the city, initiating efforts for state opportunity zone incentives and for other lawful purposes.
Ms. Gilliard.
Oh, I'm taking it off the agenda and bringing it back next month.
Second.
Properly moved and second to remove it from the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote next, sir.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gums.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid.
Yes.
And Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
That item was held and removed from the agenda.
Next item.
Next item. A resolution adopting the City of South Fulton complete streets policy and for other lawful purposes. Councilmember Rao.
This particular legislation looks at trying to make sure that we design our streets in a way that deal with people of all abilities and bring connectivity to our city. It's aligned with one of the objectives we are trying to achieve through our ARC Green Communities designation, but this is the, so I'm asking for your approval on this. It's a policy. It's not a law.
Your motion.
I move that we accept, that we adopt a complete streets policy as presented.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote please, Mr. Adams.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gums.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard. Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilliard, did you want to vote?
Oh, yeah, I said yes.
Okay, thank you. That item was approved unanimously.
Okay, next item, please.
Next item is request council approval of council meeting schedule for 2021.
I move that we accept the recommendation for meeting schedules as presented.
I would like to make a substitute motion.
Can I get a second on that motion? Is there a second? Hearing no second, Ms. Willis, you open to make a motion.
Yes, I would like to make a substitute motion to change the 10 o'clock meeting to 3 p.m.
Well, the first motion didn't get a second, so this is original.
Okay, I move that we take the recommendation from the clerk's office, but to change the meeting from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And and did we discuss moving the zoning meetings to the work session?
I don't recall, Mr.
That, that was not discussed, but that was
Okay.
part of the survey where some citizens did want to see that.
I move for the first substitute motion. I would ask that we move the 10 a.m. meeting to the 3 p.m. to be consistent with the regular meetings.
Okay, is there a second? There's no second. The floor is open.
Discussion.
Go ahead, Ms. Round.
So it seems like we don't have a path right now to move forward, and we do need to come up with a meeting schedule. At least we could revisit, these meetings are virtual anyway. We already know we're going to go back to in-person at some point. It's not like we can't adjust the schedule. I do think we do need to figure out how to do those, designated time for the zoning meetings, even if it's at the top of the meeting, probably the earlier meeting, even if we push it back a lot. Regardless, these meetings are long. I just don't see it's any way around it. It's a reason that all these governments have meetings in the day. They take all day. And we just need to be honest about that. But I'm asking us to think about what time so it's a clear time that we know once a month, whether it's I don't care which time, it probably should be the earlier.
Yeah.
Thank you. So number one, Mr. While we're discussing this, could you actually pull the list of meetings up?
Sure, yes.
Thank you.
Man, while he's doing that, I'm going in the queue. I just want to notify you.
Okay, I see you.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm gonna say a couple things and make a couple suggestions. One, there was some discussion previously about how this and these club ordinances that the city of Atlanta was the largest city in the county. It was our sister city. It is a city that we are like. And they start their meetings at 10 in the morning because they also go about 8 hours. There has also been discussion about concerns for our seniors. And what I will tell you, the feedback that I get from seniors is that they don't like to drive at night. They don't like when our meetings go to 9, 10,
Right.
11, 12 o'clock at night, and then they have to drive home from the meeting.
Right.
So I'm going to propose a compromise that we start the council meetings regular council meetings at 1 p.m. and that we have the zoning meeting at 6 p.m. so that the zoning meetings will happen in the evening. People can come out to them. They would be after the council meetings.
Is that a motion, Mr. Khalid?
Yes, that would be a motion. And the last thing is that we eliminate the June meetings.
Okay, that's the motion by Mr. Khalid. Second.
Can I offer a friendly amendment?
Yes, ma'am.
I kind of like where you're going. Maybe what we should do is flip, like leave it as it is, but let the work sessions be the day meeting and let the council meeting be the evening meeting. Because really, when we talked about that, it was so that you could kind of meet both. But if we flip it, so people who get off work is in the evening, is going into the evening, but our work session where we're doing the work happens during the day.
You accept that friendly amendment, Mr. Khalid?
Yes, with the condition that the zoning meetings happen at the end of the work session.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, second.
Mr. Mayor, put me in the queue, please.
I have a comment.
Okay, I'll put you in. You're not ready yet right now, but that's Miss Willis and then Miss Gilliard. And then I'll get you, Mr. Baker.
So I'm all about the spirit of compromise. So let me see if I understand this correctly. The proposal is to bring the meetings to 1 o'clock for the regular meetings, and then the zoning meetings start at 1, and the regular meetings start at 1, and then the zoning meetings start at 6.
No. The meeting was to flip the times. Just looking at the schedule as it is on the board, we would have the regular council meetings where people would provide public comment and be engaged in the evening
at 4.
At 4 o'clock, and our work sessions begin in the morning at 10.
That's good.
And then we would accept, like he said, at the end of the work session, we would have a zoning hearing. So it's still during the day, but it's at the end of our work session.
I mean, I don't like the 10 a.m. I don't like the 10 a.m. because I mean, because of the feedback we got for residents. I do like the 1 and the 6. What are the 1 and the 6? Is that what you originally proposed, Khalid?
Yeah, the point was, I think that that we shouldn't do zoning with the regular meeting. So if we the zoning hearings and the work sessions together, that's about 6 hours. The regular meeting, that's about 6 hours. Y'all can decide whenever y'all want to start both of them, and let's not have meetings in June.
Well, I like the work session at 4 o'clock, but if we are going to do zoning at the regular meetings, I like the zoning at 1 o'clock, the regular meeting at 1 o'clock, the zoning at 6. But the work sessions I like at 4 o'clock because what I'm hearing from residents is they prefer afternoon meetings.
Okay.
And that's based on the survey, and that's based on the feedback that's coming from residents.
Okay. Ms. Gilliard? Naima, are you there? Ms. Gilliard, are you there?
I'm not muted.
Huh?
I am not muted.
We can hear you. Just speak a little louder.
Okay. I'm saying that I'm really shocked.
I can't hear her.
Does everybody else hear me?
Yes, you're saying that you're really shocked.
I'm really shocked that our meeting started at 10 a.m. It is 2:47 and we're almost finished, okay? So that surprises me. But one thing that concerns me is we tried to put everything humanly possible on the agenda. I mean, we got 4 pages. And some cities, you know, when some of my friends that work in other cities, I say, well, I've got to go, you know, we've got a meeting. I know it's going to be all day. And they're like, all day? You mean your meetings are not 3 to 4 hours? So why is it that our meetings have to be so long and we have to put so much on the agenda when everything is in an emergency? So if we manage our meetings properly, we won't be in the meeting all day in the daytime or all night long. So that's something we need to take into consideration as we talk about changing the times. Actually, I like doing 10 to 2. And I understand that might not work for some of the community, especially for the people that work. So I don't know.
Okay, Ms. Gomes, and then again, second time around for Mr. Khalid.
Well,
don't forget me, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Baker, I'm surely sorry. Mr. Gomes, would you hold the minute because Mr. Baker had it text me. Mr. Baker, go right ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for acknowledging me. I think that first of all, I like the spirit of cooperation that we're trying to get to in resolving this. Sure. When I look at what has been presented initially, again, I think I'm more inclined to be in favor of that because nobody has considered our executive sessions and how long those meetings are. And when we have our regular meetings, that's when we have our executive sessions normally directly following that meeting. So I would like to make a substitute motion to keep it like it is on this actual document, but take Councilman Khalid's suggestion to add the zoning to the work session as a substitute motion.
Okay, let me find out where we at, Mr. Khalid.
We have a second to the motion, so we'd have to vote on that and then could vote on Councilman Baker's.
Okay, it's all. Okay, I have Mr. Khalid. I have Ms. Gumbs and Ms. Khalid in, and we'll end with Mr. Khalid.
So, as one of the community members that do work, I do find it relatively difficult to do these meetings in a day, but I'm willing to, like you said, in the spirit of cooperation. But I do have a question. This is just temporary, correct? Until the pandemic is over, or is this going to our complete new schedule for now?
I mean, we could always amend it.
I know, but I'm just saying, because this is what I'm understanding, that this is temporary, understanding that it's just, you know, through the pandemic.
No, this would be our meeting schedule for 2021. That's what.
Unless we changed it, right?
That's correct. The meetings are through December on the schedule.
Okay. Ms. Gumbs, you still have the floor.
I'm done.
Okay, Mr. Khalid, and we will take the vote after Mr. Khalid.
Okay. So I want to say this with all due respect to all of my council people. We should stop having conversations about making the meeting shorter. It's not going to happen for a couple of reasons. One, unlike the cities that are around us, we are 100 square miles with 100,000 people and $100 million budget. We are still in our infancy, and we are building this city from scratch. And our council people are virtually, with the exception of one, the same group of people that have been meeting for 3.5 years. Our meetings are going to be long. It is what it is. I don't even know where we are. Like, I don't even know what we're voting on. We've changed it so many times. I do think that it's clear that the regular meeting agenda is much longer than the work session agenda. And so I think that the work session and the zoning hearings go together, no matter like what time they start. And then the regular meeting is separate, no matter what time it starts. If we could agree, we could just start both the meetings at 1 o'clock. 1 + 6 is 7. We'll be out by 7 o'clock. If we start by 1, we'll be out of both meetings by 7. If we put the zoning hearings at the end of the work session, they probably start around 4 or 5 o'clock. That's the thing that people care the most about. It would be in the evening, but it would still be daylight outside. And last but not least, I just don't want to forget that month off in June.
Okay, Mr. Clerk,
is that a motion?
Excuse me.
Executive session.
Mr. Clerk, would you restate the motion, please?
Yes, I actually have 3 items and need clarity on one point. We have the regular meetings to occur at the 4th Tuesday at 4 p.m. We have the work session to occur at the first Tuesday beginning at 10 a.m. For the zoning meeting, it cannot be a part of the work session because you cannot vote on items in the work session. So I just need a time that you want the zoning meeting to begin.
The maker of the motion, did you put a time in? That was Mr. Khalid.
I think he said
5 o'clock. 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay, that is, Mr. Khalid, is that your motion?
I mean, at this point,
Wait a minute. 5 o'clock.
At this point, I don't know, maybe we should vote on them separately, because at this point I'm saying starting them both at 1 o'clock, doing the regular meeting and executive session together, and the work session and the.
Mr. Khalid, it's your motion.
Okay. That's my motion. My motion is to start both meetings at 1 o'clock, to start the zoning meeting on the second Tuesday at 5 p.m.
Now, Ms. Rao, you made the second. Is that?
That was not my understanding. I think the clerk was trying to read back the motion. The only thing he was seeking clarification on what time
following the work session, which would be now at 10 in the morning, would we have the zoning? That was the only thing you were seeking clarification on. Is that correct, clerk?
That is correct.
And when is the work session?
The work session would now be, the work session would be at 10 now, and then the council meetings would be at 4. So we just flipped the times, that's all.
Mayor.
That's
I'm sorry, as a
Mayor,
maker.
I have a question.
Hold up,
God.
Mr. Khalid. What is
Mayor,
your question, Ms. Willis?
my question is, the clerk just said that we can't vote on work session days, and I'm saying that we set those rules. And what I'm saying is that if we want to put the zoning, I have checked with staff to see what works best for them. And staff is, in favor of moving the zoning meetings to the work session day. And so is there possible that we could just say, okay, during the work session, we don't vote, but if it's a zoning hearing, we can vote? I mean, we set the rules. There's nothing to say that we can't vote on zonings because it's on a work session day. We just don't vote on work session items when we have a work session. For example, if the work session starts at 4, anything that's on that work session agenda, we don't vote on. But there's nothing that's precluding us from saying that the zoning hearing can't start at 1, or even the zoning hearing can't start at 10. And then we can vote on the zoning. Only on zoning.
Madam Parliamentarian?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, I think I got a couple of things here. One is that I had a motion that was second that said one thing. Then I had the maker of the motion come back and say something else. Do you think it's appropriate that we vote on that first motion and any other subsequent motion can be made later?
But my question was,
if the comment was during her portion of the discussion, then it's fine, as long as and if she is suggesting a substitute motion, then I would do that. Or else I would leave the comments germane to the first motion. And if they were germane, then they're permitted.
Okay, so I'm asking a question before I make my substitute motion. Attorney Walker, are we allowed to change the rules to allow for zoning cases to be heard on the day that we have work sessions and voted on?
Yes, that's your discretion how that's set up.
Okay, so I want to make a substitute motion. Mayor, will you allow me to make a substitute motion?
Good.
Now, you have not done that as a matter of practice.
I just want Raul and Ms. Khalid to be clear on the first motion they've made.
I'm withdrawing my
We have
motion.
to vote on what's on the floor.
Right.
I'm sorry, as the maker of the motion, I'm withdrawing my motion. It was made too early in the discussion, so I've withdrawn it.
Okay,
So
he withdraws his motion. You want to make a motion, Ms. Willis?
Okay, so what's the current motion on the floor before I make my substitute motion?
There is no motion.
There is no motion.
Okay, I move that we move zoning hearings to the work session days and vote on zoning here. Let me make it in small pieces so we won't get confused. Let me just make the motion to move zoning hearings on work sessions days, and we vote only on zoning cases. This has nothing to do with the time yet. This is just moving the zoning hearings to the work session, and we vote only on zoning cases.
I second that.
Let her finish, Ms. Khalid. I got you.
So we need to vote on that, Mayor. I'm gonna make another motion, but I just want to make it a part.
Let's take it then. Let's take that portion.
Okay.
There's a second by Mr. Khalid. Any discussion?
Yes.
Who is this?
This is Councilman Baker.
Oh, Mr. Baker, go right here.
While I am in agreement with this, Mr. Clerk, I believe I had a motion as well to accept the original offering.
By Mr. Khalid?
No,
it was his motion.
Yeah, that's actually on the agenda. Now, I do agree with what Councilwoman Willis is contending, and I will vote in the affirmative. But I had an initial motion, as well to accept it as printed. Still.
Oh, who seconded that motion?
Yeah, no one seconded it. Mr. Baker did make that motion, but at the time it didn't receive a second, and you didn't recognize the motion.
Oh, okay.
So can we just vote on this and then I'll go back to
So, Mr. Baker, there wasn't a second, so we'll vote on this. Let's vote, please.
Restate the motion, please.
all I'm voting on at this time. I'm gonna do it in parts. All I'm voting on at this, all I'm moving to vote on at this time is for us to move the zoning meetings to the work session days, and we vote only on the zoning cases.
Let's vote, please.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
I guess yes.
Councilmember Gums.
Yes, I'm fine with it.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves.
Mr. Clerk.
Yes.
For clarity for the people who are watching and going to rewind, can you restate what I'm voting on, sir?
Yes, Councilmember Willis made a motion to move the zoning hearings to the work session days and only vote on zoning cases.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Councilmember Khalid.
Okay.
Yes.
No, you finished the vote.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Khalid.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
That motion was approved unanimously.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Baker. Councilmember Baker. Mr. Baker likes the schedule. So in the spirit of compromise, can we make the work session start at 10 a.m. and the zoning hearing start at 4 p.m.?
Oh no.
On the work session, on the same day, on this whole 1 second.
Oh no.
Let her finish. Go ahead and finish your conversation.
On the same day, the work session day, we voted that we're gonna move zoning hearings to the work session day. So Councilman Baker said he liked the schedule. So what I'm saying is we leave I haven't made a motion on when we should do the regular meetings. What I'm saying is, can we do the work session at 10 a.m. on work session days? And then we start our zoning hearing, which will probably, be around 4 o'clock anyway. But we do our zoning hearings at 4 o'clock.
Can
it be immediately after the work session?
Yes, we can do that.
Exactly.
Okay, let's do that.
There a motion?
I accept that friendly amendment.
There a second?
Second.
All right, it's properly moved to second. We're in discussion. Any discussion?
Wait a minute. We did a friendly. Can we have a friendly amendment between 10 o'clock? Between 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock is a long time in between. We're not going to have a work session from 1 to 1 or 1 to 2. And what are we going to do in between? We're going to come to a meeting and then leave and come back to a meeting.
Ms. Gilliard, you did not hear me say I accept the friendly amendment. What we accepted was to have the zoning hearing start after the work session. Okay. So the motion.
Right.
Yes.
Any further discussion?
Don't we need to have a set time for people to know when to tune in? So if that's the case, can we set a time 1 or 2 o'clock? And we'll have to stop the work session if we haven't got through it. If we start at 10, we should be done by 2.
But the individuals attended the zoning, they just have to attend the work session.
Everybody is speaking now. I need to have some order. Either you're in the queue or you texting me or something.
I'm going to go in the queue, Mayor.
I'm going in the queue too.
I saw Mr. Khalid.
I want to be agreeable, but I am concerned, Councilwoman Willis, because you talked about having these meetings in the evening because you want the citizens to be involved. I cannot think of an item that citizens have been more vocal about than zoning and alcohol hearings. So I don't know why we would move items to the evening, but then have these zoning hearings in the daytime.
That's not what we did, Mr. Khalid. We said we're going to have the work session first.
Right.
And then
we have the work session if we have the work session at 10 o'clock, even if we have a 4-hour work session, which is a long time to have a work session, we would still be having zoning meetings at 2 in the afternoon. And
Well,
if that is the thing that people are most interested in, I would think that we have a work session at 2 o'clock and have a zoning hearing at 5 o'clock. So that way we're starting later in the afternoon for people that have day jobs. And we're starting the zoning hearing at 5 when people are off or getting off and can participate. That just seems to make a little bit more sense. And the second point, which Dr. Rao stated, is that we have attorneys and people that have to come and represent folks at the work session. And so I do think that we have to have at the zoning hearings. So I do think that out of respect for them, that we have to give them a definite time to start, not just, well, we're gonna start the work session at 10 o'clock. And when we get done, then we'll get to your zoning.
Man, can we vote on that? Because I did originally say leave it at 4 o'clock. And then my colleagues came back and said that's a large gap. We should start it right after the work session. And so
I have 3 people in the conversation right now that I have to acknowledge.
Okay.
One is Ms. Gums.
I'll yield to Councilwoman Willis. I think we've kind of come to a point where we just.
Yeah, so I did originally say that we should leave the zoning hearing to start at 4 o'clock. I originally said that, but there were 2 council members who said that's too much of a gap. We should start the zoning hearing right after the work session. And so I changed in the spirit of compromise that we accept that friendly amendment and start the zoning meetings right after the council meeting. But if we're going to put a time on it, I think if that's going to be a substitute motion I would say instead of starting it at 5, we should just start it at 4. That gives us an earlier time, and it's a spirit of compromise. So if Mr. Councilmember Khalid wants to make a substitute motion to start the zoning hearing at 4, then we can do that.
Can I speak, please?
We'll get right to you.
Councilmember Willis, can you yield back to me?
Yes, I will yield back to Councilmember Gunn's, Mayor.
So, Director Reed wanted to chime in regards to.
Yes.
So we can make sure that we're just doing the right things, just a little bit of guidance. So if you can recognize her.
Dr. Reed.
Thank you for that. The state requires that notification, whether it be through the newspaper, whether it be through posting of signs, given an exact time. So we can't just say follow under or after a meeting. It has to be a specified time.
Okay. Now I got
So quick question. Is there a way, because it seems like we're still unready to adopt a calendar. Is there a way that we can kind of work? Because we've been going about this for the past 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
Do we need to table this and then?
Agree. Can I make my last comment, please?
We'll get to you, Ms. Willis. I'll acknowledge you.
Can we at least table this until we're able to, because I don't think it's fair for the public to even see us going back and forth.
Right.
I agree.
So I like to make a motion to see if we can table this until our next meeting.
Is that a substitute motion, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, that would have to be, because we have a motion on the floor currently.
Right.
I would like to accept the motion with the friendly amendment. I already do the motion. I will motion. I will withdraw my motion and redo the motion. I move that we revisit this at the first council meeting in January, but we go ahead and agree to set the next council meeting. So we should just agree to set the next council meeting, which will be the next council meeting will be January 12th. I move that we have the next council meeting January 12th starting at 4 p.m. And then we decide at that meeting the the rest of the meetings.
Second.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I didn't get a chance to
Ms.
speak.
Gilliard, I got you. I'm with you. I'm under control here. All right. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, Miss. This is in discussion. Ms. Gilliard, here you go.
Okay. The only point that I wanted to make is that, and this is really about the work session. And I'm going back to what you told us earlier in earlier meetings. And you said the work sessions should not last any more than 15 minutes. And so we know that that doesn't happen. And we know that we usually don't have a long work session. So we can determine how long that work session is going to be. And it shouldn't be 3 or 4 hours, really, if we really want to have good meeting management. And so if, for instance, and I'm just using this as an example, if the work session started at 10 o'clock, we should definitely be finished no later than 12. And then if we took a half an hour break or even an hour break, we could start the next meeting at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
So there's a like a lot of diversity in there to be able to do that.
All right.
But again, if we're going to close out, then maybe we can take a poll and do it that way. So the next time we come to the meeting, we won't take this much time to do this.
Okay, we spent a lot of time on this. Ms. Baker is going to be in the queue. After that, we'll take a vote on Mrs. Willis's motion.
Right. Thank you. I know what I wanted to say was, we've gone in another direction, but since we are going in that direction, I think we should still keep our meeting time the same. If we're going to do one more meeting, it should be the same before we throw our public off with changes. So I would like to make a substitute motion to keep our next meeting on the 12th, the same time at 10 a.m.
Is there a second?
No, because hold on, Mayor.
No. He ain't no now.
Mayor, he has it wrong. I'm just trying to tell him he has it wrong if he looks at the schedule.
I'll give you discussion to do that. But I'm saying there's a second on it. Now that she has seconded, Ms. Willis, you can have a discussion.
Mayor, I'm just trying to explain before we went down that route. He said keep the meeting the same. On the schedule we have is Tuesday, January 12th at 4 p.m. That was my original motion. And Councilmember Baker said he thinks that we should keep our meeting the same as it is on the schedule. That's what my motion was. He didn't realize that.
All I was telling you, he has the right to make a motion, and it was seconded. When the discussion came in, you can say what you're saying now.
Insert with clarity. What I said is, as far as the date, I said keeping it at the same time, not as far as the time that we are going to have to consider. I mean, the time that has been scheduled since the pandemic, 10 a.m.
Okay,
right.
We have a substitute motion on the floor.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Excuse me. We have a substitute motion on the floor. Would you restate the substitute motion, Mr. Clerk, as we move on?
Yes, there was a substitute motion by Councilmember Baker, seconded by Councilmember Rao, to move forward with the next meeting on January 12th at 10 a.m.
Roll call vote, please.
I have a point of information.
Point of order, Mayor. The next meeting is a work session.
First of all, what is your point of order? And is it procedural? Let me hear it.
It is procedural.
Let me hear it. I determine that.
Okay. The next meeting is a work session meeting because we're now in a regular meeting. So our next meeting is a work session meeting, which is January 12th. And we typically start our work sessions at 4 p.m., not 10 a.m.
Mr. Mayor, my point of information was I was not clear whether this meeting on January 12th was going to be a work session or a regular meeting, because if it's a work session, we can't vote on anything.
Okay. And according to the schedule, look at the schedule, Mayor. January 12th is under work session.
Okay. Got a motion on the floor. Let's vote.
Roll call vote.
Voting on.
Was
what are we voting on?
I don't know.
Councilmember Baker, seconded by Councilmember Rao, for the next meeting of the City Council be on January 12th at 10 a.m.
All right, let's have roll call vote.
Roll call vote, Councilmember Rao,
Yes.
Councilmember Gums,
No, my understanding, we cannot vote in this work session. So
What?
it doesn't make sense.
Go ahead.
Councilmember Willis,
No.
Councilmember Gilliard,
I'm abstaining because I'm too confused.
Okay, go ahead.
Councilmember Reeves,
Nay.
Councilmember Khalid,
I'm also abstaining. I don't know what kind of meeting it is.
Okay.
Councilmember Baker.
And I totally know what we're voting on.
It's a council meeting. He said council meeting.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion.
Will you sound the vote for me, Mr. Clerk?
The vote failed. It was 2-3-2.
Okay, go ahead.
Mayor, I move that we have our next regular meeting on January 12th.
Regular meeting.
Yes, our next on January 12th. That's the first meeting of the year. Okay. January 12th, regular meeting. And if we're having a regular meeting, then that meeting will start at 10 a.m.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Let's vote, please, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gums.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
That motion is approved.
Christ.
We asked why we're here so long. Next item, please.
Next item, item 29, first reading of FY21 budget amendment, number 1, ordinance.
Finance.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is to accommodate our CARES Act money that we received. So we are amending the budget, and this is the first reading. Look at it, and if there will be anything, please let us know. We are expecting to have this one approved on the 12th of January.
Okay. Any questions or anything? If not, let's move on.
Yes, I have a.
Yes. Go right ahead, Mr. Khalid.
You know what? I'll wait till the 12th. It's fine.
Okay.
I'll ask you offline. Thanks.
Let's move on. This is the first read. Go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
Next item, item 30, first reading of amended smoking ordinance. Council members Rao, Gums, Reeves, and Baker.
Any of you guys have anything you want to say?
I move that we adopt a smoke-free ordinance as presented.
It's a first reading.
It's the first reading.
No, it's the second read. Isn't this the second read?
It is the second read. We just made some changes.
Second. Yeah, I think, okay, go ahead.
Is the second read, Mr. Clerk?
Well, my understanding, when it came up the first time, Councilmember Gums asked that it be removed from the agenda. So it was never read into the record.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Anybody have any comments about that? If not, we can move on.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
We're almost there.
Next is item 31, first reading of investor harassment ordinance. Councilmember Baker.
Baker.
Yes, it's the first read, but it's the ordinance that everyone has been calling for as far as those harassing calls from investors in our city. But it's just the first read. Anybody have any questions, you can feel free to email me.
Okay, sir. Next item.
Next item is first reading, street racing ordinance. Council members Rao and Reeves.
Rao, Mr. Reeves.
It's the first read. As you know, this is a problem in Metro Atlanta. And so between now and our next meeting, I just ask if you have questions, contact me or Councilman Reeves.
I agree with that as well. So this is the time for the community to chime in with all of the complaints and all of your concerns.
Okay, next item.
The last item is item added to the agenda during the adoption of the agenda. Councilmember Willis asks for council approval to accept donations from Georgia Power in the amount of $2,500 and $4,000 for the 2020 November 2020 turkey and food giveaway event.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the donations from Georgia Power in the amount of $2,500 and also the amount of the donation amount for Greystone in the amount of $1,000 for the 2020 Thanksgiving's food giveaway.
Second.
It's properly moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote, please.
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
That item is approved, and that completes the regular meeting agenda, except for the executive session.
I'll entertain a motion on executive session.
Mayor, can we have a 15-minute break?
I have no problem with that.
I move that we go into executive session starting 15 minutes from now.
You know what time would that be, Mr. Clerk?
3:35.
Okay. Can I please complete my motion because I did not state why we were going to executive session? I move that we start executive session at 3:36 for real estate, personnel, and litigation.
Okay. Second. Properly moved to second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Mr. Clerk?
Roll call vote. Councilmember Rao.
Yes.
Councilmember Gomes.
Yes.
Councilmember Willis.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilliard.
Yes.
Councilmember Reeves.
Aye.
Councilmember Khalid.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
That motion was approved, and the executive session will begin at 3:36.
See y'all at 3:36.